ladies and gentlemen. Today we're going to be going through Chapter 12 and whatever lies beyond. Let's have some fun. And I hope things end well for Shion, although it's not looking good. Let's be honest. It is not looking good for Shion. I mean, if this goes the way the second part does, Shion and Mion are both fucking dead. What? What? Michin, you didn't get much sleep either, did you? Did you? Yeah. I went to bed at like 3. I'm a little tired. 3? Wait, you can't keep staying up so late. You probably read the first volume of a manga, thought it was interesting and read the entire series, didn't you? I understand, I've done that before. I know I replied to this when I actually read this in part 2, but I'm with him. I've done that. I've done that. And only regretted it once. Wait, is it about the mayor? He still hasn't been found? Nope. That's not good. Oh, there's a bunch of people complaining about Genshin Impact stuff. And a bunch of Reddit people are wrong on the internet, spreading their opinions and impressions, but they're mathematically incorrect. Yikes. I mean, that's a yikes, but that's classic internet for you. If it's not like our data is beautiful, half the time it's mediocre data. Or people like just pushing their opinions. Alright, I went to the Furude Shrine to join the youth group in their search for the mayor. Since I knew there was no way he'd be found, it was really boring for me. Well, just enduring sleepiness wasn't that bad. Not if you considered that what Kimiyoshi had to go through since last night. He'd been hanging from the ceiling and couldn't even fall asleep or sit down since he had to stay on his tiptoes the whole time. Damn. He might be dead by the time she gets back from school. There's a non-zero chance he just fucking dies while she's away. Let's see, the teacher explained to us that the mayor had gone missing and asked us if we knew anything. A couple of people said some things, but they were irrelevant. To me, this issue meant nothing, but it was all my classmates were talking about. I observed Keiichi Maibara. I had no idea if any type of danger was drawing closer to him. Maybe I'd call him again tonight, pretending to be Shion. I told him some outrageous stuff last night, so he panicked, but I was sure he'd calm down after a day. Apparently we're doing Nipa today. At that time, I heard a little girl's laughter. It was Rika Furude, the last survivor of the Furude family and their current head. However, she wasn't really treated as one. During the family council, she'd often draw pictures or take a nap in the hag's bed. She wasn't even invited to last night's meeting. It was hard to believe such a little girl was responsible for part of the curse system. However, even though she wasn't in a respected position as head of the Furude family, there were plenty of old people who worshipped her as the reincarnation of Oyashiro-sama. I'd heard from someone that Rika was rather odd and seemed to behave as if she knew she was that reincarnation. I mean, all the fame can go to your head, even if it's not for a good reason. Maybe Takano told me at the library when she was alive. When Rika Furude became worried about something, the elderly people who worshipped her would make arrangements. It was very similar to the Sonozaki family, and also the same system is used for the curse. I wonder if she knows anything about the deaths of Takano and Tomitake. What does she think of the people sneaking into the ritual storehouse? Does she know who snuck in and what happened to them? As the one managing the storehouse, it was possible she noticed the intruders first. In fact, she was the only one who could have noticed it. She must have passed on that information, which is why the curse was executed. I feel like we're acting paranoid now, right? Because she was literally, like, doing a performance the whole time. The center of attention. She couldn't possibly be aware of that. Although she might be aware if the padlock was changed. Or at least, like, left off. That foolish Keiichi turned the light on when he went into the ritual storehouse. That light switch could have been connected to some kind of alarm. Rika Furude, leader of the Furude family. Yeah, she could have been aware of that. That's a good point, Shion. Maybe getting to know her would be a good idea. Wait, aren't you supposed to be friends with her? As leader of the Furude, how much do you know about the incident? I asked her rather directly. It was hard to tell if she understood what I was asking in place of the Sonozaki family head. Instead of as Mion Sonozaki. Are you talking about Tomitake and Takano? Rika answered. The news hadn't been made public, yet she knew about it. Of course she did. Although she looked immature, perhaps she really was the head of the Furude family. I mean, she's the only member of the Furude family. But that's the curse of Oyashiro-sama. How do you know that? But it's not over yet, is it? There should be 2 more. Have you heard about what will happen to them? I tried to be vague to see how Rika would react. I'd been thinking she had nothing to do with the underside of Hinamizawa since she was always treated like a child. Hey Shadow, how's it going? However, Rika just said things about the incident which normal people shouldn't know anything about. This proved she belonged to the underside's network. I don't think it matters anymore. She answered the question about Tomitake and Takano fairly quickly, but took a little longer to answer this time. Did she have to think about it? Yet the look on her face never changes. It's impossible to figure out what she's thinking. What do you mean? How could they get away with what they've done? I think if they feel bad about what they've done, that should be fine. Her response was unexpected, especially after seeing all the old people get so furious last night. The trespass in the ritual storehouse was blasphemy against Oyashiro-sama. The village elders had said those intruders deserved to die, and yet the leader of the Furude family, who protected the sacred storehouse for ritual implements, had said if they felt remorse for it, that was fine. She's very liberal or progressive. She thinks not executing people for trespassing is probably unnecessary. I recalled how people thought of Rika Furude's father during the dam conflict. Yeah. Her father was called an opportunist back then. He didn't agree with the Onikafuchi Guardians, who resisted violently. Ooh, you got a nice CE for the 5th year CEs? Nice. Which one did she go for? Like father, like daughter. I aggressively grabbed Rika by the collar. What the heck are you talking about? You're pretty stupid, just like your predecessor, aren't you? Wait, why is she being super aggressive? I guess she's playing a role? The Furude family must understand better than anyone how sacred the ritual storehouse is. How could the head of the family say such a thing? I laughed at myself. I was told the same thing by someone else and now was saying it to Rika. Don't you know how serious a crime trespassing in the storehouse is? It's a very important place for Oyashiro-sama, so no one can go in without permission. You know that, but these 4 people, they brought their filth in there. Bad kitty cats. Meow. That's right, bad cats. 2 cats have been caught and punished. There's 2 more. Meow. How do you think they should be punished? Tell me your opinion as head of the Furude family. Rika didn't usually wear any expression whatsoever, making it impossible to tell what she was thinking. But while I grabbed her by the collar and stared at her, I could tell somehow. Rika was a little disturbed. I sensed she was trying to see what I was thinking in turn. I want to forgive those 2 kitty cats. Why should they get away with what they've done? Me, what are you trying to say? It's a good question. Let me explain. Those 2 must offer compensation for what they've done. They have to clear away their sins. Otherwise, Oyashiro won't stop being angry. Every crime must be punished appropriately. Do you understand? Oyashiro doesn't get angry even if someone enters the storehouse. What are you saying? The reason why nobody's allowed in the storehouse is because there's too many scary tools in there. I'm sure people would get scared if they saw them. That's why we don't let people in there. I'm sure those intruders were scared too, and I'm sure they feel bad about what they've done. They're forgiven once they feel bad about what they've done. That's not for you to decide. That's what Oyashiro-sama decides. I'm the shrine maiden of Oyashiro-sama, don't you know? Of course I do. You aren't telling me Oyashiro-sama told you he isn't angry, are you? Rika nodded yes without hesitation. I can't believe the lies she's coming up with. Wait, she's the shrine maiden. Shouldn't this mean you don't do anything? Am I stocked up on Saint Quartz for Tamatoma? Nope. Nope. I'm not surprised. I'm shocked. That's why your parents died of the curse 2 years ago. Oyashiro was angry because they didn't deserve to serve him. That's why he cursed your father. Oyashiro-sama would never do that. My father didn't die because of the curse. Bah! Am I really talking to the last shrine maiden of the Furude? Obviously, Oyashiro-sama can't be at peace. You're supposed to worship him. How pathetic. I don't know why you're so angry at me. I realized. She was in a position to know as much as the other two family heads, and as proof, she talked about this year's incident as though it was nothing, yet she could feign ignorance with a serious face. She sure is something. She's even better than me. I slapped her a few times and pushed her to the floor. Rika, having tumbled downwards, looked up at me with tears in her eyes. I don't know what she's doing here, honestly. I think we've progressed past what's reasonable, Shion. This all happened because you wanted to change the lock to think it was easier for you, right? It's true. Your old one was too heavy, so I talked to Kimiyoshi and he changed it to a cheaper, lighter one. If you left the heavy lock on me, that would have prevented them from trespassing. This is your fault too. Don't you forget that? Of course, the Kimiyoshi family, who actually changed the lock, is responsible for this too. The last part was something I added on a whim. I added it to connect Rika's story to the disappearance of Kimiyoshi. I wanted to pressure her psychologically by doing so. The head of the Kimiyoshi family had to pay for his crime, and that's why he disappeared. The head of the Furide had to pay for a crime too, you know. Rika was still on the floor, tears pouring down her cheeks. How could you attack Rika? Fuck Shion. Me and my homies hate Shion. Wow. We got some people not liking Shion. Keiichi Maipara is the only one left. I suppose the Furide family will take care of it. I don't know anything. You don't need to know anything, do you? You just have to look worried. That's all it takes. That's how it is at our house, too. Anyway, good luck. I don't... Rika hung her head. She seemed to want to say something, but she was afraid I might be rough with her again. I doubted Rika was actually at the top of the curse system like the hag was. However, as one of 3 family heads, she was a lot closer to the underside of Hinamizawa than I was. And by now, that underside was well aware of Keiichi Maibara. I took the elderly leaders of the village yesterday in the meeting that Keiichi Maibara, or I told them that Keiichi was the last one remaining. I just told the head of the Furide family the same thing, if threateningly. If my threat was effective, the curse of Oyashiro-sama should very soon fall upon Keiichi Maibara. And at just the right time, I'd grab my enemy right as he took my bait. If the assassin came forth from the Furide family, this girl would have committed the same sin as the hag. And when that time came, I wouldn't hold back. I was going to make sure she suffered, then kill her. I've heard of a torture technique where you pound dozens of nails into a victim's fingers. I already found a restraining table and the tools for it. When the time comes, I'll pound nails into your fingers. That gruesome anticipation radiated from my eyes and scared Rika even further. So she's trying to catch this person, and then she just never does? I see. I guess that's how it goes. We never catch the person who's doing all the killings, and it remains like a pseudo-supernatural mystery. I'm feeling like that's how it's gonna go. I wonder how Kimiyoshi is doing. I doubt he died from tiptoeing on that, but sometimes a human can go very easily. I mean, he might be dead. He already told me everything I want to hear, and he doesn't know anything else anyway. On top of that, he's responsible for spreading the infection that was the cursed system of Oyashiro-sama. His sins are heavy. I really liked Uncle Kimiyoshi. He'd always been kind. The hag was so tough on her relatives, and that's why he was extra nice to me. When we talked yesterday, I was so happy to hear him say he'd forgive Shion. He even said he'd fight the hag to save her. That made me happy. Don't worry. If Shion feels bad about what she's done, she won't be demoned away. Leave it to me. I felt such warmth inside of me. I almost shivered. I was so happy, and yet so very sad. For he continued to say that Satoshi deserved to die. He said those nice things because he wanted to make me unhappy, since she was worried about Shion. Satoshi deserved to die because he was a member of the cursed Hojo family, but Shion apparently didn't. That's what he meant. In other words, to the leaders of the village, including Kimiyoshi, members of the Hojo family are more contemptible than insects. They didn't care if they lived or died. Their sin was not only that they despised the Hojo family but also that they let their hatred infect the rest of the village. Therefore, everyone in the village deserves to be a victim of the curse of Oyashiro-sama. Alright, see? We're still on our vengeful crusade. We're consumed by hatred now. Not entirely unbelievable, but lots of our actions make more sense if you consider that. We've just we have, like, literally fallen to the dark side. Force style. Can't go back now. Can't go back. Kimiyoshi and the others created an environment that excused murder in that name. The name of Oyashiro? Yeah. If that was so... If Takano and Tomitake hadn't committed the serious crime of trespassing in the ritual storehouse, then Satoko Hojo, last survivor of the Hojos, and Teppei Hojo, who'd been hiding in Okinomiya, might have been the victims. Wait, this guy's got art now? Why does this guy have art now? Previously, he was just a random dude. Now he's got art. It's like he's gonna be featured in a future couple scenes. Like, a lot of scenes. Like the teacher, who basically didn't show up in the first arc, and then the minute she got animated, she shows up way more often, and then gets reused here and there. Satoko Hojo, she was always around Satoshi-kun. She expected Satoshi to help her every time she cried. She's one of those people who cornered him. If Satoko wasn't that much of a burden, Satoshi wouldn't have killed his aunt. I don't know, his aunt was pretty terrible in general. Somebody told Satoshi-kun to commit that murder. To hide the evidence of his connection to the mastermind, Satoshi was demoned away. Are you sure he didn't just decide to kill her of his own accord? And use the ritual murder as use the ritual deaths as an excuse? That's what Ueshi thought. If Satoshi hadn't killed his aunt, maybe he wouldn't have been chosen as last year's victim. Because the commands were vague. After all, the curse of Oyashiro-sama fell upon the Hojo family as a whole. It didn't matter which member of the family died. His aunt had a terrible reputation in the neighborhood. She didn't communicate with her neighbors. She was always throwing fits and there was nothing nice about her in any way. Even if Satoshi didn't kill her, the curse would have fallen on her sooner or later. Their aunt was the first victim. There needed to be another Hojo to calm the curse. According to the rumor, their uncle was living somewhere in Okinomiya with his lover. However, Okinomiya was a little different from Hinamizawa. The Sonozaki family was powerful there, as well, of course, you know. But it would have been more difficult in Okinomiya to demon someone away. Ah, I see. It's like being under 50% in shadow. Like being 49% in shadowed versus 100%. I see. Naturally, Satoshi and Satoko, who were still in Hinamizawa, became the targets. Which one should be cursed? That was simple. Satoko, of course. She's snobby and lacking in manners. Everyone in the neighborhood likes Satoshi. Even if he's the son of the Hojos who betrayed the village during the dam conflict. Compared to Satoko, he didn't deserve to die. Therefore, the actual victims of last year's curse should have been his aunt and Satoko. Satoshi was suddenly all alone. His mean aunt and mean uncle were gone. His sister, who was a burden to him all his life, was gone too. He was such a nice person. Although he'd be sad, he'd realize he was finally free. But time would heal him. I'd even help. I didn't have to live in his house. He didn't have to live in his house in Hinamizawa. There were plenty of empty rooms in the apartment block where I lived. I could find him a part-time job too. He didn't need to go to school in Hinamizawa. He could go to school with me in Okinomiya instead. This is some serious copium and fantasizing, but I mean, she's pretty obsessed with him after he got murdered, so... Alright. How's it going, Angora? He wouldn't know his way around, or really anything about the school there. So I'd be with Satoshi all the time. I'd show him a shortcut to school, and we'd go shopping. I'd teach him many different things. What an unbelievable happy ending. Satoshi had been suffering so much, and I'd been pushed away all my life. But we'd finally be happy. I enjoyed these sweet delusions, but I didn't have more time to waste. I was sure there were plenty of old people who'd been trying to get a hold of Oryu all morning, and were trying to catch me after I got home from school. Actually, the phone had been ringing constantly while I enjoyed my happy thoughts. When I answered the phone, I casually listened and replied. As planned, Keiji is now known as the next curse victim within the underside of Hinamizawa. I tried to let them know that the disappearance of the village chief had something to do with the fact he changed the lock on the ritual storehouse door. All the authorities in the underside came to realize the seriousness of trespassing in the storehouse. After all, one of the heads of the three families got punished. One of the phone calls was from Ueshi. He'd also heard about Kimiyoshi's disappearance and knew it had something to do with the changing of the lock. Dude, you're like not being subtle enough. You need to be more subtle. You're disappearing too many people. I'm impressed. He had some pretty good sources, but all he can do is catch whatever information he can get. There's no way for him to find out where it's coming from. I'd call Keiichi Maibara again later tonight. Some of the more aggressive villagers may have already started taking action around him. I'm sure by now he's feeling the danger that's coming towards him. I'll have to be careful that he doesn't get killed easily. If I can catch the enemy before they fight Keiichi, I can use him as bait. Keiichi Maibara. I haven't known him for that long. He's funny, if not intelligent. He'll never replace Satoshi, but I do think he's fun to be around. There's just one thing I don't like about him. He rubs my head far too often. His hand is as warm as Satoshi's hand, which is why I can't stand it. But that's about it. Keiichi isn't Satoshi's enemy. I don't hate him. He's fun to be around, but I wouldn't shed a tear for him if he became a victim of the curse. I won't prevent Keiichi from being killed, but I won't kill him myself either. She's making herself look awfully suspicious. But I mean, she probably can't help that because half the reason she's super suspicious is because Oryu and her actual self, Shion, disappeared and haven't actually done anything in the last 2-3 days. Which is kind of weird. The number of disappearances is too high, which is making everyone suspicious of who the actual, if there's someone behind this, right? If you think about it from outside of her single-minded focus. I'd made arrangements for the curse to fall upon him, but I never told anyone to kill him. Well, I suppose I did tell Rika Furude to take care of Keiichi Maibara. Wait a minute. To avenge Satoshi, I'm doing the same thing the hag did. I'm using the same system that killed Satoshi. Keiichi. I'm just using him. I told people to let the curse fall on him, but I've been giving him appropriate warnings. I'm gonna help him if he tries to live. If I catch all my enemies, maybe I'll let him loose. He's different from Satoshi. Satoshi was tricked into killing his aunt and was killed himself afterwards, so there wouldn't be any evidence remaining. I won't kill Keiichi. That's how I'm different from the hag. She doesn't kill randoms, that's how she's different? Alright, well, she is different. She's killed less people so far. And most of them for an okay reason. Several of them were the first one was for an okay reason. Mion's not dead, so I don't think that counts. I don't know if Kimiyoshi's dying for a good reason. It's a bit iffy, but I guess in her mindset, from her perspective, it sort of works. It's like, if you want to look at everything from her perspective, it sort of works. And she doesn't know who actually did the killing. She doesn't know everyone who was involved. Like, she doesn't have enough information, so she's just acting really aggressively. Evening turned to night. I had to get dinner ready. I had to get to eat so I'd have enough strength to take revenge. This place was far from town. It would even get isolated during winter because of the snow. It's not unusual for a household like this to have 2 or 3 refrigerators. There were plenty of groceries left in them, and I was glad I didn't have to go grocery shopping. I could hear the chorus of the Higurashi. People often say the sound of the Higurashi bring back memories. For me, it's the opposite. I've only ever heard the sound of the Higurashi in Hinamizawa, and therefore the sound of Higurashi to me is Hinamizawa. The sound reminded me I wasn't supposed to be here, that I couldn't be here. And that's when I heard the doorbell. Because there was a good distance between the house and the gate, there was both a doorbell and an intercom by the latter. It had a security camera too. Something as modern as the security camera monitor in this old-fashioned kitchen looked rather strange. I turned the switch, but nothing appeared on the monitor. I tried to check the plug, but there were a bunch of cords going behind the fridge, so I couldn't even do that. The doorbell continued ringing while I tried to figure out if the monitor was broken or if I just didn't know how to turn it on. I only felt like answering the door depending on who it was. It'd normally be easier to pretend to be out, but that wouldn't help me. I was waiting for my enemies to show up. I couldn't just hide myself in that case. The hag was supposed to be sick and in an extremely bad mood. I had already sent word out she didn't want to see anyone. So who could it be? I made up my mind and turned the intercom on. If it was someone unwanted, I could just turn whoever it was away. But I had to act normally so I wouldn't arouse suspicion. I had to act normally. It's Rika, right? Yes. Who is it? Hello. She didn't tell me her name, but I recognized the voice. Rika, what are you doing here? At this time of day? I ran out of soy sauce. Could you share some with me? Soy sauce? I almost screamed, but I controlled myself. I took a moment to think about the situation. Hold up. Let's pause things for a second. We have some new information, and that's happening here. For some reason, if you recall, she's here for soy sauce, and she's here for soy sauce because someone was handing out flyers saying to go to her residence for soy sauce. Remember that? They were like, we'll share soy sauce. Why is someone directing them there? Who is this that put out this ad? Who would put out an ad telling them to go to the Sonozaki main house for free soy sauce? Who would that be? If you recall, that's how Keiichi Maibara connected. That's how Keiichi Maibara connected Rika's disappearance and the Sonozakis. Was the soy sauce ad that she hasn't taken out. There has to be another element in play for that, because from our perspective, we never did anything relating to soy sauce. Or posted an ad sending it to everyone as part of the missing persons dealio. That wasn't something we did. Soy sauce, I almost screamed, but I controlled myself and took a moment to think about the situation. Inamizawa was far from most stores, so sometimes neighbors would share seasoning and stuff with each other. The village sometimes got snowed in during winter, but Furude Shrine was quite far from this house. It was rather odd for her to come all the way here on her bicycle just to get some soy sauce. Maybe she was using it as an excuse. Maybe there's something she wanted to talk to me about. And that's when I noticed a piece of paper on the refrigerator door next to the intercom. We have plenty of homemade soy sauce in stock. Feel free to come by the Sonozaki house if you want some. The hag must have given that flyer to everyone. One of our relatives had sent her a barrel of soy sauce, and if you wanted some, bring a container. That's what the flyer said. This would explain it. There was a handwritten note on the bottom of the flyer. The soy sauce is in the storage area under the floor. Give them as much as they want. There was a storage area under the floor, and when I opened it, I saw a barrel of soy sauce, along with a funnel and a ladle. I didn't want Rika to notice anything suspicious at this point. I decided to share the sauce with her. The secret sauce. Sure. Did you bring a container? I brought a soy sauce bottle. Okay, come on in. I'll be at the front door. As I headed there, I heard the doorbell ring again. The gate's locked from the inside. I can't open it. Right. Sorry. I'll be right there. Hang on. People didn't pay much attention to the safety around here in Hinamizawa. People didn't think too much about locking doors, but as someone who lived in a town, I always locked everything. To let Rika in, I'd have to go outside. Good evening. Good evening. Rika smiled at me. She was holding a huge soy sauce bottle. She acted like I never yelled at her, got violent with her, or even made her cry at all today. Or perhaps she came to curry favor, thinking that she angered me. Is that the pot there in the foyer, or is that like a kettle or or like a stove or some shit? I don't know what the round container in the center of the room after the foyer is. I invited Rika to the front door and told her to wait a moment and tried to take the bottle, but Rika took her shoes off and walked into the house with the bottle in her hands. Don't worry, I'll get it for you. Why don't you wait there? I'm pretty good at pouring soy sauce into a funnel, you know. She looked at me as if begging. I guess she wanted to pour the soy sauce into the bottle herself. I didn't want her to come into the house, though, but I suppose I didn't want her to wait there alone, either. If she came to the kitchen with me, I could keep my eyes on her. And so I brought Rika to the kitchen. We walked down the hallway. I only heard my footsteps. I stopped suddenly and turned around to make sure Rika was following me. She bumped into me. Sorry. I made sure she was right behind me and started walking again. Tap, tap, tap. Tip, 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 tap, tap, tip, tip. Rika must have been having fun, matching her footsteps to mine. Even when I quickly sped up, our footsteps matched perfectly. Tap, 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 tip, 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 tap, tap, tap. I stopped suddenly. Tip, tip, tip. Rika stopped suddenly, too, after taking an extra step. When I turned around, Rika smiled at me. The extra step deal is a bit creepy, too, right? Our footsteps matched perfectly, and when I stopped suddenly, I heard her extra step. I'd experienced such footsteps before, and it was making me feel uncomfortable. But now, although her footsteps sounded the same as the other ones I'd experienced, I saw her when I turned around. That was the difference between them. I left the storage door open so we could see the soy sauce barrel. The memo said take as much as she wants, but I wasn't sure there was enough left. I crouched down and tried to open the lid of the soy sauce barrel. Even when I crouched down, I could hear her extra step. Oh, good, there's plenty left. Take as much as you want. When I turned around, Rika was very close to me. But, who is this? I saw Rika, but it wasn't Rika at all. It was like when I switched with my sister. The outside was the same, but the inside was different. Did Rika have a twin sister? I was confused for a moment. And that's when Rika sprayed something from a small bottle into my eyes. Wait, what? Well, there's a twist. Holy shit. Is Rika attacking us? I felt a terrible pain in my eyes, and suddenly tears poured out and my nose started to run. She pepper sprayed us? Of course, we're acting pretty suspicious. I couldn't stop sneezing either, and as I stumbled around covering my face, I realized that I was being attacked. I shut my eyes tightly for a moment and opened them again. Rika was about to grab my hair to drag me down onto the floor. Rika's trying to kill us? What? Well. When Rika saw me open my eyes, she sprayed me again. I shut my eyes to avoid the spray, but my nose breathed in the substance. I avoided pain in my eyes, but the tears, the runny nose, the sneezing continued. Shit. My brain isn't working quickly enough. However, when I understood I'd been attacked by Rika Furude, my brain started to grind into motion. She knocked me on my back and got on top of me. Rika's trying to murder us? What? This was an unexpected twist. I tried to escape from her by rolling on the kitchen floor, and as I rolled, I hit an oven, a huge jar, and destroyed a pile of something on the floor as I fought back. But Rika didn't let go of me. She stayed on top and restrained me. She was sitting on my stomach, and I felt intense pain and pressure. She sure could fight well. I still couldn't see anything. Rika had the upper hand, and my eyes were shut. I was in real danger. As I tried to blink, I saw her expression. I didn't know Rika Furude all that well. I only knew her from the few times we met, and when I went to school as Mion, and from the things I've heard from other people. As far as I knew, there was no way Rika Furude would ever do something like this. It's just impossible, right? Impossible. I can't fill my head with that word. I have to calm down and figure out what to do next. Oh, fuck, I'm too much of a mess to even think. Oh, she didn't say fuck, she said she said, shit instead. Anyway, I tried to peek at her face again. She still had the spray bottle in one hand. What I didn't expect was the thing in her other hand. How could I mistake it for anything else? It was definitely a syringe. When Rika realized I'd regained my eyesight, oh my god. So, let's think about this. Okay, so the pages, maybe the pages were handed out by Oryu a while back. That's no big deal. That's no big deal. It was like an ongoing thing she wasn't aware of, which sucks, but it is what it is. Shion doesn't know everything. This is new, though. So, who the fuck is in contact with Rika that has the suicide syringe? Because the only syringes we've seen in this series so far are the ones that give you a poison that makes you commit suicide. By, like, ripping out your own throat. So Rika showed up to the house with a toxic syringe, aiming to assassinate us. Interesting. But why does she have the murder? Why does she have this super magic poison that only exists in Namizawa? Why does she have this? I'm really curious. I would be okay if she was trying to, like, kill Mion to save Keiichi or something, but I'm really curious why she has this syringe. Or maybe it's just anesthetic, who knows? When she realized I regained my eyesight, she pointed the spray bottle right at me and let loose with it. I shut my eyes tightly and tried to ignore the pain, but that was when, even though I was blinded, she made her miscalculation. She'd sprayed at me from such a close distance, she inhaled the substance as well. I heard her sneeze and realized it was my chance. Even if I couldn't see, I knew she was right there. I hit Rika's face a few times, and when her weight shifted, I escaped. Then I got my stun gun ready. Rika must have inhaled a little of the spray. She wasn't sneezing anymore and was glaring at me instead. Are you picking a fight with me? You want me to wreck you? Rika's expression didn't change, but I was sure she was disappointed that her surprise attack was a failure. She flinched just a little, but she was still holding the spray bottle and aiming it at my eyes. She was trying to use the spray first, and then give me the shot. I didn't know what was in that syringe, but it was a clear liquid. It had to be something bad. She wanted to take my eyesight, get on top of me, and give me the shot. If whatever was in that syringe took a while to take effect, I might have the chance to fight back and seriously injure her. But Rika's surprise attack told me just being injected was more than enough. In other words, whatever the effect, it would start to work immediately. Therefore, I wouldn't be able to fight back against her. It'd probably either knock me out or kill me. In any case, what I had was equally deadly. My stun gun was very powerful. One shot would be all it took. What happened before was proof of its power. Rika knew my stun gun was more powerful than her spray. She was being extremely cautious. What do you think you're doing in my house, huh? If you aren't moving, I'll come to you. I threw a pile of newspapers at her. The pile wasn't tied together, so the newspapers flew all over Rika. I jumped at her immediately after. I shoved my stun gun into her and pulled the trigger. Rika spasmed and fell to the floor. You fool! Hesitating in a fight where a single blow wins. Only amateurs just glare at each other. You don't have a single clue about how advantageous the first strike is when a single blow can decide everything. The spray bottle rolled on the ground, but she still had the syringe. Rika was down, but I couldn't let my guard down either. I kicked her in the side and clambered on top of her. I took the syringe. I held Rika's arm down and gave her the shot. My actions could hardly be called gentle. I injected her violently. I injected everything that was in the syringe. Rika began to convulse. I stood back and watched for what would happen to her body. Of course, I still had my guard up. Well, I assumed the drug would incapacitate her. I didn't know what kind of reaction she would have. Look at you. Did you really think you could defeat me? Think again. After a few more convulsions, Rika unsteadily got to her feet. That's ridiculous. How can she even stand? I looked at my stun gun. Damn it. The power was on the lowest setting. Maybe it had been readjusted when we were rolling around on the floor. I changed the setting to maximum. Rika turned pale and started sweating all over. I didn't know its exact effects, but if Rika had given me the shot, I'd be the one experiencing her symptoms. She looked sick, so obviously she must have been feeling awful too. She couldn't even focus. She was wobbly. She had her hand on the wall. She'd lost her balance. It must have been hard to even stand. She didn't look so brave anymore. She wobbled some more and moaned as if she was going to throw up. Hanya. Hanya. Who's Hanya? Rika looked scared as she moaned and wobbled, but at the same time she looked kind of funny too. Certainly she hadn't even dreamed she'd be getting the shot herself. As man sows, so shall he reap. That's what you get. This is funny, but please don't throw up here. Go to the bathroom, okay? I'm going to enjoy how long it'll take for you to die, but that means I can't torture you later, huh? I've been planning to use the nail table on you, so either you choke on your own vomit and die, or I pound nails into all 10 of your fingers. Oh, I wonder which it'll be. Okay, I know. Let's move to the underground shrine storage. I'll put you to sleep so I can move you there, okay? I walked up to Rika, my stun gun making popping sounds. When Rika saw the sparks from the stun gun, she moved to grab a huge kitchen knife. Oh, are you still trying to fight? That makes things more fun. I have so much I want to ask you. I'd suggest you back down. Well, actually, even if you do, you go through the same misery anyway. Sorry, but I'll refuse that invitation, you torture maniac. What she said wasn't anything I'd expect to hear from the Rika I knew. But I didn't hesitate. I had the advantage, so I didn't need to worry. Okay, Shion. Besides, this was coming from the last survivor of the Furude family, one of the 3 families, and someone who had the suicide poison. The undetectable super suicide poison. The sudden change somehow felt natural. Compared to what the 3 families have done, this is nothing. Thank you for the high praise, though. I should be proud of myself, huh? So? Are you thinking about fighting me with a knife in that condition? You can't even stand straight. You're right. Like you said, I'm at my limit. But if that means getting captured and tortured to death by you, I'm sorry, I'm taking my leave. Taking your leave? Pfft, try it if you can. It was clear who held the advantage here. But despite that, an odd thrill filled both of us. We lost our minds wasn't a fitting phrase to the people of Hinamizawa. It was a feeling of release when modern demons could stop pretending to be human. Yes, this was a mad banquet of demons with the savoring of blood and devouring of flesh, attended by the head of the Furude family and head of the Sonozaki, the old families whose blood is closest to the madness of the demons. I stood in front of the hallway so as to block her escape route. The windows had grates and the door had a safety chain on it. If she turned around, I'd hit her with my stun gun. I'm surprised she doesn't just well... Shion's too aggressive to let people go, I was gonna say. Giving them an escape route will make them less likely to stab you, but I feel like Shion's probably moved past that. Especially when now people she thinks are her enemies are actively trying to murder her. In this situation, what did Rika mean by taking her leave? She got her knife ready. I expected her to aim at my stomach when she attacked, so I took a stance with my stun gun ready in hand. However, she suddenly turned around. I watched to see what her next move would be. She put the handle of the knife to the wall and held it in place. What was she doing? Oh, rip Rika. Goodbye, torture maniac. I won't give you the satisfaction of killing me. Rika reared her head back and slammed her throat against the knife on the wall. Her blood splattered all over. She bent backwards repeatedly and let the knife slash at her own throat again and again. Her neck and chest were dyed red. I'd always thought blood was darker, but her blood wasn't dark. It was so bright. I must have been confused, but it looked pretty. After doing this several times, Rika turned around, her eyes wide open. She didn't look like she was from this world. Her face looked like something both living and dead, both real and artificial. It was very scary, eerie, and, above all else, pale. Although her face looked unearthly, it was very appropriate for a demon. I didn't have a mirror, so I couldn't tell, but I was sure I looked exactly like her. Rika continued to violently slash her own throat. It reminded me of someone trying to break a huge piece of ice with an ice pick. This was exactly what Rika looked like. White chips of ice coolly flying through the air. What I saw before me was a beautiful sight. Every time Rika struck her throat, tiny drops of red splattered the boring white world around her. Wait, who have we actually tortured? Kimiyoshi is the only person we've done anything to, right? She must be dying thinking we're Mion then, right? It was like a dance, a dedication dance by the final head of the Furude family. The demon's last dance of dedication to Oyashiro-sama, and upon seeing that literally blood-curdling dance, I let out a fierce roar. I had no reason to do so. I was howling like an animal, and we were animals trying to kill each other, both getting covered in blood. And inevitably, as one convulsed in a pool of that blood, the other threw back its head and howled. My body shivered with the joy I felt inside of me. This was death, the most final of judgments, right before me. The demons howled, screamed, and roared. It's really strange, though. She wants information from her, and she's not even bothered by the fact that she's killing herself. It's kind of unexpected, but alright. The roars faded and my voice started to change from the voice of a demon back to that of a human. As a demon I roared, but as a human I sneered. Rika was covered in blood from her neck down. Her blood was pouring out, making a little noise. Rika was still staring into my eyes, and I stared back at her. I wasn't sure they were still eyes, though. They were no longer human eyes, but the eyes of the dead. Rika's corpse vomited blood from her mouth and nose and smiled. And then she dropped the knife. She stuck her hands out and turned her palms upwards. Her wiggling fingers reminded me of an insect's legs. Those fingers reached for her own throat. I'd never seen anything like it. I'd never seen anybody do this before because Rika was scratching her own throat. She was ripping her own throat apart. Well, maybe that wasn't a good description. She was trying to rip out the inside of her throat through the opening she'd made with the knife. Her fingers found the biggest tear. She smiled. At least that's what I would have called it if she were alive. She ripped open the tear in one tug. But, upon hearing my scream, Rika died and fell on her face into the pool of blood. That was it. She didn't get up again to show me her throat. I stepped back from Rika's body and bumped into the wall in the hallway. I roared in admiration of the ritual dance of dedication of the head of the Furude family. Okay, so if there was any ambiguity, that was in fact the poison vial that makes you kill yourself, which means Rika, or someone associated to Rika, but not Shion or Mion, did the killing. Or you might have ordered it, Mion might have ordered it, but Shion is not directly involved in Takano or Tomitake's death, but Rika has a connection to whoever did the killing. Because she has the same poison vial that caused Tomitake to kill himself. And she knows what it is because she was planning on using it as a weapon on Shion. Interesting choice. So, we know there's some super deadly poison. We know Rika has a connection to it. Shion is doing some crazy shit in this arc. But she isn't the person doing the disappearances. Well, she's behind all the past murders. So, Rika could actually be among the people who are behind the past murders. Interesting. She could be working with them, or a member of their group, or perhaps imprisoned by them. We don't really know at this point, but we know we need more information on Rika and how she gets that vial if we want to put together what the fuck is happening in Hanamisawa, right? Joy ran through my body and my blood rushed through my veins. I won! I defeated her! Aha! I then realized I'd disposed of the heads of the three families, the core of the curse of Oyashiro-sama. Everything was finally exposed. Well, I don't think so. The curse of Oyashiro-sama and its masterminds were all exposed. I mean, you killed Oryu, who seems to be behind a handful of the disappearances. And Mion, who is sort of guilty. To some degree. I don't know if Kimiyoshi is involved with anything. We don't have any evidence that he's actually involved in anything super sketchy. Rika, it seems, might actually be, because she has the vial, but it's not clear if maybe she got it from another fight or some other shit happened. But Rika is looking really suspicious. As, like, the agent of the curse or some shit. I'm guessing she's probably not the mastermind, though. That wouldn't make a lot of sense. It doesn't make too much sense if Rika's the mastermind. It needs to be someone more intelligent. So, Oryu would be okay. Kimiyoshi, it's possible, but we don't have any connections for him. Keishi, obviously not, but let's see. I disposed of the leaders of the three families, who all killed Satoshi. The head of the family died of a heart attack. She's at the bottom of the well with a wheelchair. I apprehended the head of the family. He'd continued to tiptoe until he died. The head of the Furudes died in a way that was perfect for the final head of the three families. I did it. I accomplished my mission. I defeated all the masterminds who killed Satoshi with the curse. Every single one of them. Satoshi, you were powerless. You didn't have the means to fight back. Those evil people simply sneered while they let you die. After marking you as a member of the cursed Hojo family, I'll never forgive them. They believed you deserved to die because you were one of the Hojos. As long as it was done by the curse, they didn't care how you were killed. I'll never forgive those people for creating this world. What could I have done to save you, Satoshi? I couldn't save you. Shion couldn't do anything at the time. If I was Mion and not Shion, if I was Mion, I could have saved you. Mion could have saved you. That's right, I remember now. Shion. She said she wanted to eat red snapper sashimi that day. I was supposed to eat that, but Shion petted and cried. That's why I let her switch just for that night. I did it to make her happy, like a big sister would. Shion was never treated well, so I felt bad. That was it. I was being a good sister, that was it. When morning came, the world had been turned upside down, and had remained so until today. We weren't twins anymore. The one with the demon was Mion, the one without was Shion. What was that supposed to mean? Wait, Mom, listen. I'm Mion, not her. You can tell us apart, right, Mom? Look, can't you tell I'm Mion? Come on, everyone, tell me I'm Mion. I'm Mion. Don't call me Shion. I'm Mion, I am. And then I realized, you knew, didn't you? That the relatives weren't gathering for a simple party that night. You knew! I didn't. I really didn't know. Wait, who are we talking to? Is she talking to herself? Alright, so I think Shion's going completely insane. So I'm guessing she's talking to herself. Or is she talking to Mion here? How could you say that? So persistent that day. You said you'd never eaten red snapper before. You really wanted to try it. You never gave up asking me. I really didn't know. If I'd known, I wouldn't have said that. Oh, sure. You were always jealous of me, always looking at me with those foxy eyes. That's why I switched with you every once in a while. If you weren't satisfied with that, you became even more jealous. And that night, you knew what was going on and took Mion from me. You took Mion from me. Give Mion back. I'm the one who's Mion. Yeah, I'm Mion Sonozaki. Yeah, she's completely lost it. You were Shion this whole time. Don't call yourself Mion, imposter. I kicked the bars of the cell repeatedly while I roared. What? I can't tell if she's talking to Mion. Okay, so this is coming from Shion. This is coming from Shion, I think. Either it's hard to tell. We'll see. I kicked the bars of the cell repeatedly while I roared. Compared to my roar, the metallic noise of the bars sounded like the cry of a little puppy. I'd been convinced by something so stupid. The tattoo of the demon was just a way of telling us apart. Without that tattoo, I'm Mion. That's right, I'm Mion. I gathered my hair and put it in a ponytail with the yellow band Mion used all the time. Since I didn't feel my hair on my neck, I felt like I could think more clearly now. Two Mions looked at each other through the iron bars. According to our sibling rules, that was never to happen. There was only one Mion and one Shion. There could never be two of either at the same time. Shion, lay your hair down. I'm Mion. Mion's here. You're never Mion. Don't pretend to be me ever again. Do you hear? Do you hear? Did you answer me, Shion? Why is she so pissed? I took myself back on this day. Shion admitted she was Shion. How wonderful it is to be Mion. I feel great. I can think clearly now, because after all, Mion's capable of anything, unlike you, Shion. How dare you pretend to be Mion? Do you have any idea? Huh, Shion? Yes, sis. Shion called me sis. And so I was Mion. Ah! The demon who'd been asleep deep inside of me was finally allowed to wake up. I assume that was like Ane or Nesan or some shit. Let's see. The demon roared and my whole body shivered to express its joy. Shion, you committed a great sin. You were Mion until now. You were in a powerful position as Mion of the Sonozaki family, and you didn't even try to rescue Satoshi-kun. You had millions of chances to save him, but you chose not to do anything. I won't forgive you. I could have saved Satoshi. You took him from me and killed him. I'll never forgive you for that. Shion was shaking on the other side of the bars. I'll kill you. Kill you in the best possible way. Starting today, I'm gonna think of the best, most gruesome way to kill you. Shion, you'd better spend every minute fearing what's coming to you. I won't just kill you. I'll make sure your death is long and miserable, and after you're dead, I'll throw you into the well. You'd better apologize to Satoshi when you get there. This is what you get for pretending to be me. Do you hear me? That's your sin. Aha! Alright. She's lost it. She's definitely lost it. I needed to at least clean up the kitchen. While I was putting old newspapers on the floor to absorb the blood, the phone rang. This is going to be Satoko, right? I didn't want to answer, but maybe I should. I should answer it and talk to whoever it was. Hello, this is the Sonozaki residence. Thank you for answering this Hojo. I was surprised to hear the Hojo name, but I realized right away it was Satoko. Satoko? What's the matter? Sorry to call so late. Is Rika not there with you? Ah, right. Ever since Satoko Hojo was abandoned, she'd been living with Rika Furuta. We know how this goes. Of course, she'd get suspicious that Rika hadn't returned yet. Yeah, she's here. Oh, she's still there? It's long past dinner time. It's Satoko. I made too much dinner tonight, so I told Rika to eat here with me. What? Is that so? Oh. Why don't you come over too? I have plenty of food left. Rika's already started eating. Rika, alright, I'll clean up a little and edit it. See you shortly. Okay. I'll be here. See ya. Like. Well, now what? We know how this goes. This isn't ending well, but that's unfortunate. I don't know what the fuck Rika was doing trying to murder us, though. Like, the going for soy sauce makes sense. Going for soy sauce makes sense, but, like, she wasn't actually going for soy sauce. She was trying to murder us. She was trying to poison us. Keiichi, I've been calling your name for a while. You have a phone call. It's from Sonozaki-san. Sonozaki? Which one? The older or the younger one? I don't know. Ask her yourself. Hello? Mion? Or Shion? It's me, Shion. Good evening. Oh, Shion, sorry about last night. I got all riled up. You must have been worried about how I hung up the phone so suddenly last night. We're tied to the same fate. Making sure the other's alright. It's the only way to guarantee our safety. I agree. This is the last phone call. Alright. We absolutely need to share whatever information we have, so we don't die like Takano and Tomitake did. I heard Keiichi swallow loudly. Let's continue where we left off. You'll listen without getting angry this time, right? Yeah, I'll be fine. Keiichi agreed to be quiet and listen, and I explained the dangerous situation Keiichi was in once again. Just like how some evil people in the village attacked Takano and Tomitake, they might attack us any day. I mean, we did get attacked, right? It was by Rika. It was ironic, of course, that while I was warning him, I was also the one who made sure the curse would fall upon him. Let's report anything that seems strange. If we connect all the tiny pieces we have, maybe we'll find out who killed them. I mean, I'm still not at the conclusion of who killed Tomitake. It could have been Rika, though. Could have been Rika. Or maybe even the truth behind the incidents of the past few years. You're right. You're right about that. Then I'll start, since I suggested it. I feel like somebody's been watching me lately. What? I was making this up. Oh, dear God. Well, she was hearing that earlier, right? She was hearing footsteps, heard the loud noises earlier. I just wanted him to realize how urgent the situation was. It might be my imagination, but I'll tell you anyway. I think it's just me, but you feel like you're being watched too, Keiichi, and then maybe it's not my head? Don't worry, at the very least, everything's fine with me. It seemed like nothing had happened to Keiichi today, at least. Now that the heads of the three families were gone, it's possible the curse system was destroyed entirely. If that was the case, he might not be attacked after all. But if there was someone who did want to attack him, that meant part of the system was still alive. In other words, my mission wouldn't be accomplished just yet. He's like a litmus test in this situation. I'd know whether or not my enemies were gone depending on if he got bitten. He sure is a useful man. After that, I went along with what Keiichi said. I made sure he was fearful of Mion, and as well as all the three families. I explained to him the possibility that the whole village was involved, and that the curse of Oyashiro-sama might be some sort of system. And then I remembered Shion wouldn't know too much about the disappearance of the mayor, so I continued. I just heard this myself. Is it true? Uncle Kimiyoshi went missing? You mean the mayor? Wait, Shion, you haven't heard? I don't know anything. I just overheard my father talking about it on the phone again. Yeah. Actually, last night after the meeting, he didn't come home, so the whole village was in a panic. They searched all over Hinamizawa, but if they found him, then I haven't heard. The police should be searching for him as well. Why didn't you tell me something this important right away? Sorry, I thought you already knew. I didn't want to hide it or anything. Remember when we were like yelling at Keiichi to share this with Shion? I remember doing that. Keiichi, what should I do? What's wrong? Tell me. We're not keeping secrets from each other, right? I'm sorry. I didn't mean to hide it. It was just that, well, the conversation got turned around to... We're on the same side, right? I won't get mad. Just tell me. Uncle Kimiyoshi, I told him everything. Old man Kimiyoshi? He's someone you feel comfortable confiding in. You know? Yeah, he when I was little, he was really nice to me. All I did was play tricks on him. He'd always smile. Listen to everything I had to say. He was such a kind person. Calm down, Shion, calm down. It's not like he's dead, right? Don't lose heart so easily. Keiichi tried to make me feel better. But he had no idea what was actually going on. It made me laugh. That night, I told the mayor, we snuck into the storehouse. Someone saw us, was out to get us. Does the mayor know how absurdly Takano and Tomitake died? Yeah, he knew about it. I told him they died by the curse, and I'd be made to sacrifice to calm his anger. I just said it straight out. Right, what then? He didn't get angry. He smiled and told me if I was remorseful, there's no way I'd be demoned away. He's really smiling and told me to leave it to him. I remember when we actually thought Shion was feeling bad about this moment too. Man, they really turned this around on us. I actually got a little sad while saying it. And it doesn't give us a complete view of the story either. I got sad while saying that. He'd been so reliable. I was happy he said he'd protect Shion. I was truly happy. If only he hadn't said anything to insult Satoshi. It's my fault. I confessed everything. Stop, Shion. It's not your fault. No, it's my fault. It is my fault. I told him our secret. Uncle Kimiyoshi found out about everything, so he had to have been killed. It was right after I confessed to him, after all. He disappeared the same night. He told me everything was going to be alright. It was such a strange feeling. I wasn't upset at all, but as I pretended to be upset and mutter words of prayer for Kimiyoshi's safety, I started to feel that emotion growing inside me. I was only pretending to be distressed to fool Keiichi. Yet the emotion I feigned began welling up inside me. It felt like I was being consumed by that emotion. The words coming from my mouth weren't words I intentionally said. They were words That consuming emotion forced me to say, it was like someone else inside of me was doing the talking instead, and I was just watching that someone talk from a short distance away. I should have never told him. All this would have been only our fault. Only the four of us. It wasn't something I should have told him. He got killed because I told him. He got killed because he knew. He got killed because I confessed to him. Stop. If they were doing that, they'd obviously have killed you before killing the mayor, right? It doesn't make sense. Man, she's making so much chaos. Shion, you're spreading so much chaos. Acting with this single-minded purpose. It's actually like kind of crazy. You probably should have been killed first. Why would the other people die before us? It doesn't make sense. They must have planned to kill us last of all. What? What? They start by killing those we're close to. After they've caused us such pain, they'll kill us. Must be what they're doing. What I just said scared even me. Killing our loved ones first to harm us emotionally, and then only kill us at the height of our suffering. Wait. I felt something crawling up my spine. Awesome. It's an awesome idea. I must not be human anymore. I really am a demon. A human could never think of such cruel things. That would be one incredible hell. Your close friends dying one at a time after being tortured, and after that, you yourself get killed. What a way to destroy someone's life. Why was I getting so excited about this? Oh, because I could get going with the plan right away. Rika, it's Rika. What? What did you say now? Well, the truth is, I told her about it. I told Rika. Today. Rika-chan? You mean Rika-chama? The one with the Furude shrine? Yes, Rika. I felt so scared and uneasy. I did it. I told Rika. What did you say? The cat's worrying too much. I'll do something. What did she say? The cat's worrying too much. I'll do something about it for sure. That's what Rika-chan said. I'm sorry, Shion. I'm a bit worried about Rika. Right, well, if you're that concerned, don't worry about me. Please go find out whether she's safe. Yeah, I'll do that. I'll call you again tomorrow, same time. When I do, you'll know I'm still alright. Got it. I'll be waiting. Okay, bye. Sorry. I'm hanging up. Ichi hung up. Roughly. What a hilarious conversation with Keiichi. Everything was too damn funny, and that was a really bad idea. Prompting him to go check on Rika Furude demonstrates that she died or disappeared that night, but I mean, it also makes some sense. It just puts the character on your trail. Keiichi Maibara, go ahead and struggle helplessly. Run all over the village and see if the curse is still alive. Go ahead and see if my enemies are still around. I laughed for a while and calmed down. I'd already gotten rid of the bicycles and shoes belonging to Rika and Satoko. My house was, for the moment, taken care of. I could expect Keiichi to run around in a panic to ask for help from someone, and then ultimately come to me on. More than likely, the youth group would end up looking for Rika like they did with the mayor, and I'd probably endure another long night again, knowing nobody would find her. I decided to wait until the phone rang. I killed time by watching TV until it did. Oh, I guess Satoko's already gone. Rip Satoko. She dies off screen. They didn't even dignify her with an on-screen death. She's just like, I already disappeared, Satoko. Keiichi, are you serious? I'm gonna get mad if this is a joke. I scolded Keiichi for suspecting Rika had disappeared. Michan, it really is a joke. If it is a joke, don't get mad. Smile. It'd be a joke after all. We need to make sure whether it's a joke or not. Right. Sorry for getting upset. Raina rebuked me. While she looked quiet, I felt she could be terrifying under her skin. I had no basis for that impression, but I still felt that way. I just didn't like her. I disliked her ever since that rainy day at the bus stop. It wasn't that we didn't get along, though. How should I put it? I was at a loss for how to explain it. That was it. I found a good example. When I was little, I wanted to play tennis. I had my relatives take me to a tennis court, and they praised my skill. I was doing nothing more than hitting a ball with a racket, but they told me I was talented, and it made me happy. When I went to school, I told my classmates I played tennis, and they said, well, you're talented, too. And then, one of my classmates, who's usually very quiet, said she also played tennis. Not only did she play, but she took lessons. Although I'd bragged about my serve, I was no match for her. I felt lonely and insulted everyone that was paying attention to her and not me. She was usually very quiet, but suddenly I realized she knew more and had a lot more experience than me. Reina at the bus stop was like that. I thought of myself as a demon now. I'd awakened a part of me that was half human and half demon, the part that lived in Onigafuchi village. In fact, I'd already stepped into a world where normal humans couldn't go. I'd already surpassed my human limits. I genuinely thought of myself as a superior being having transcended the realm of mortals. But when my eyes met with Reina Ryugu's, I felt what I did a long time ago with tennis. Why? Why did I feel that way with Reina? I'd heard in the animal world during battle, animals glare at each other to display their strength, and Reina's truly terrifying. Her power level's gotta be immeasurable. Only humans have to punch or kick each other to feel superiority or inferiority. Most animals can tell by glaring at each other. In that case, could it be the same with Reina? Michan? Are you okay? R.I.P. Rika. As nice as a... Yeah, sorry. I haven't slept since yesterday, you know. Sorry. Keiichi climbed a ladder and tried to peek into the window on the second floor where Rika and Satoko lived. It was my job to hold down the ladder. It was my job. Yeah, Reina cautioned me to hold onto it tightly. Chan, I'm gonna go check the main house, just to be sure, okay? I'll be right back. Okay, be careful. Reina ran off after that. When I looked up, I saw Keiichi trying to open a window, but all of them were locked. Reina mean by main house? Keiichi asked me from the top of the ladder. Oh, it's the Furude family's actual house. After her parents passed away, I think it's been left like that. Oh, right. Rika's parents passed away, right? Yeah, Satoko's also an orphan. Her parents fell from a cliff because of Yoshio-sama's curse, and then her older brother Satoshi, well, he disappeared. Satoshi, I've heard that name before. He'd heard the name before? I felt anger growing inside me. Don't you know whose desk you're using every day? You act as if it belongs to you. You drop food on it while eating lunch. You drool on it while taking a nap. Don't you know who it really belongs to? It's a fucking desk. Jesus Christ. I know she's kind of crazy right now, but man, it's a desk. People change desks like every year. Or even multiple times a year, you know, every day. At class rotations, but this is a small school, so I probably don't have that. Why am I acting this way? I'm Mion. Satoshi doesn't even exist anymore. He was demoned away. It's hardly Keiichi's fault. He doesn't fucking know. It really isn't his fault. Toku and Rika have been living in the shack ever since. Neither of them has any family, but at least they're together. They help each other out. Didn't Reina say there was a main house? Wouldn't it be easier to live there? I think she tried that at first. She said it was hard, though, because it reminded her of her parents. After everyone in Satoko's family died, she started living with Rika. It only made sense. Satoko and Rika were best friends, right? They didn't care about the Hojo family or the Furude family. They'd been best friends since before the dam conflict, and the reason why the curse never fell on Satoko. Well, Rika probably had a lot to do with that. That made more sense than anything else, at least. Satoko was pardoned from the curse of the Hojo family, all thanks to Rika's arrangements. Satoko had never been a victim of on the night of Watanagashi. According to the curse system I'd uncovered, the last survivor still living in Hanamizawa would be the perfect target for this year's curse. So, whoever was responsible for executing the curse must have tried to take her life. But nothing happened to her, proving Satoko escaped from the curse. That was really and truly infuriating. She might have been the head of the Furude family, but I still couldn't accept that such a little girl had enough power to protect her best friend. Mion, no. Actually, Shion must have had the same power then. Just like Rika protected Satoko, Shion could have protected Satoshi. Damn it. Rika and Satoko, they have it hard, huh? She's cursed. Huh? Mion, what did you say? I said she's cursed. Mion, why are you making that face? Satoko Hojo. She's been cursed by Oyashiro-sama. I can't accept that Satoko was pardoned from the curse, although she's a member of the cursed family. She was one of the cursed Hojos. Satoshi wasn't pardoned, but Satoko was. She was cursed, but she got away. She escaped the curse, but Satoshi didn't. I can't fucking accept that. In fact, Satoko should have been the one to be cursed the most. She cornered Satoshi physically and emotionally. That was why things got weirder and weirder, and in the end, everything went crazy. When I think back on it, it was Satoko who I hated most of all. She cornered Satoshi. And as a result, he disappeared. She started it. She caused it. If only she hadn't been there. Just as Rika and Satoko lived happily, maybe there was a happy future for me too. Maybe Satoshi and I could have started our lives together in Okonomiya. Yes, if I look at both the beginning and the end, it's so obvious. Satoko's existence caused everything. Satoshi had to kill his aunt because of Satoko. The three families used that need to create the curse, and then they killed him. The police were convinced he ran away, but he'd never do that. He's the type who always did his best at everything. So since we know how this ended, we know Satoshi's down the well, so the part where the three families, including Oryu and possibly Mion and Rika, are behind Satoshi's death is something that can't be ruled out. Like, you have to acknowledge Oryu probably had him killed. Whether or not anyone else was involved, like Rika or Reina or Kimiyoshi, is like really hard to tell because they haven't given us enough information. But the nice thing is we kind of know how this part goes and who's behind it, which is really interesting. It's a nice twist. I don't know if they'll have really exciting twists for the next bit. For that bit, right? Let's continue enjoying this. Yeah, he was the type of person who did his best at everything by himself. He was doing the very best he could for his only sister, and yet he was forced to vanish. He worked so hard for Satoko, and he thought he was living just for her, and then he was erased. Poor Satoshi. He was so underappreciated. The girl knew no gratitude. She was cursed. If you got near her, you'd meet the same fate. You'd be cursed to die or disappear. That really was it. She's the main cause behind it all. She wormed her way into Rika's good graces, and that was why the curse fell on Satoshi. She should have died first. Then Satoshi would still be alive. If he was alive, I could have done something for him. I'll never forgive her. I can't forgive Satoko. I can't forgive that girl. There can be no peace with her. There can be no peace. She was the perfect target for the curse of 1983. The curse of Oyashiro-sama. Rika, the reincarnation of Oyashiro-sama. She was dead. Reincarnation had died. There was no more god in Hanamizawa to deliver the curse. Now I'm the one that's going to deliver it. I am Mion Sonozaki, head of the Sonozakis, one of the three families of Onigafuchi. Now that all the heads of the three families are gone, there's none left to surpass me. I'll deliver the curse of Oyashiro-sama and no one else. I'll deliver it because I'm the curse. I have become Oyashiro-sama. I felt hot bubbles boiling over deep inside of me. I could tell the demon inside of me wanted to roar. I noticed Keiichi looking down at me. Calm down, Mion. Can't tell what you're thinking. Calm down. And at that point, I heard footsteps coming closer. I saw 4 or 5 adults, accompanied by Reina, running towards us with flashlights in hand. One of them opened the lock on the cabin door, and we all went inside. Of course, there was no one there. Soko and Rika lived alone, and hello, have we seen this back room before? I think we've seen it before, last time we were in this place. I doubted Satoko would have left a note saying she was going over to the Sonozakis when Rika was there already. It wouldn't be fun if she had. Because of that, I hurried into the room ahead of Reina to make sure there was nothing left behind. The rumor of Rika and Satoko's disappearance spread around the village quickly. More and more gathered at the Furude Shrine. And acting in place of the head of the Sonozakis, I commanded them to search the village. They nodded and scattered. How long had it been since the last time I was truly Mion? I felt so pleased my body almost went numb. Lots of villagers went in and out of the shrine. They yelled at each other as she was nowhere to be found. Some suggested other places to look, and they all left. They made a lot of noise with their comings and goings. Members of the Women's Association brought out huge pots and gas cookers from the storage, getting ready to cook for men. It was then I noticed Keiichi unsteadily walking towards a copse of dark pine trees. What was he thinking? How stupid of him to be alone on a night like this. The person responsible for executing the curse was nearby. He wouldn't come back safely. Count-chan, we went all around Ochaka Lake. We didn't find anything. We tried to lay at the pond. We'll have to wait until the sun's up. Thanks for your hard work. The women are making some miso soup. Please rest up. Mion-chan, do you know where they usually park their bicycles? No, they probably park them at the bottom of the stairs leading up here. I don't think they'd come up here while carrying them. We can't find their bicycles. Where do they go? If they left on their bikes, they could have gone pretty far. They could have gone pretty far. Maybe even as far as the town. In that case, we'll have to look outside of Hanamizawa. By the way, who first noticed Rika was gone? Oh, it was Keiichi. He suddenly had a hunch. Oh, my bar kid, huh? He's a little suspicious. Speaking of which, why hasn't the Maibara family showed up while we're in a crisis like this? The Maibaras still haven't joined the town council. They're not in the youth group's phone directory. Really? Well, ain't no helping it then. Huh? They joined, didn't they? I think it's just their name isn't in the directory yet. The last time we updated it was the beginning of the year. Oh, his parents weren't called because of that. They just moved, so that's why they aren't in it. My bar kid's hunch is still suspicious. They do say the first on scene is the most suspicious. Where did he go? I saw him walking towards the pine tree. Could someone go get him? Conveniently, I saw Keiichi and Reina walking back towards us. Keiichi, where did you go? I was worried you disappeared too. Sorry. It looked like nothing happened to Keiichi. If so, that's fine. That means I took care of all my enemies. Oh my, my, my. I knew I smelled something good coming from over here. It's the fuzz. I'd be much obliged if you allowed me to have some. I heard the loud, sticky voice of a middle-aged man. It was Uishi. He must be confused about this year's incident. The scale of the curse this time is like nothing like the previous ones. Uishi's information network is about equal to or better than that of the others in the council. In other words, he could easily uncover a rumor that was circulating through the underside of the village. He must have come here to see if the disappearances of Kimiyoshi and Rika had something to do with the changing of the lock on the door. The police will come for me sooner or later. He seems to acknowledge that already. I am Mion Sonozaki. By removing all the heads of the three families, my enemies, I've become the head in their place. I can't allow Mion to continue existing. I have to destroy the existence of the head of the Sonozakis. When I destroy my own position, that is when my revenge will come to an end. More than likely, I'll have Uishi witness my final moments. My eyes and Uishi's met. Damn, he thinks I'm suspicious already. You're right, Uishi. I did it. Mion Sonozaki, head of the Sonozakis, is the culprit. I'm interested to see how the last scene plays out. I'm interested to see if she actually slips and falls, if she just kills herself, like what she's doing. That's the only question I have left right now that I think this arc's gonna conclude for us. Rika Furude. Head of the Furude, but never appeared at the most important meetings. Even if she did show up, no one would ask for her opinion, so it never mattered if she was there or not. A legend in their family says if their firstborn child is a girl for 8 generations, the 8th girl would be the reincarnation of Oyashiro. According to Takano's research, Rika is very likely the one. She must be an important icon in the cult of Oyashiro-sama. The true believers are devoted to her. So it's quite surprising to me that Rika herself was the assassin. It's unbelievable. It's just too abnormal. Usually a VIP like her wouldn't be the one to assassinate anyone. It's possible it was a Rika Furude lookalike. How many lookalikes of her? From the way she moved, she seemed experienced in fighting. It's not normal that a small girl like her would jump me without faltering. I got lucky because I had a stun gun. Without it, I don't know what would have happened. She was far more skilled than she looked. Was she trained as an assassin? Or was it a body double? Everything's a mystery, including that creepy syringe. What the hell's going on? I can't understand. She was like an apparition or something. Did Oryu know of her existence? What's hiding on the underside of this village? Underside might run deeper than I thought. Yeah, it's like several people. There's a lot of people. There was like an entire van full of people, right? During the first arc. The first arc, sorry. At this point, I believe I can complete my revenge by destroying the curse system entirely. That means I have to eliminate the heads of all 3 families, the successor Shion, and the assassins who are after Keiichi. Although Keiichi is completely unguarded, he hasn't been attacked so far. Even though I told everyone he's one of the trespassers. In fact, it's me who's being attacked. Rika attacked me. According to my theory, Keiichi should make for very attractive bait, but if no one's done anything to harm him, since Rika attacked me, it might be that opposing the Furude family is a greater taboo than trespassing in the ritual storehouse. Rika said that intrusion wasn't a big deal. She sounded like she was going to let Keiichi walk. And after I accused her of that, Rika Furude attacked me that very night. Are there 2 factions? Does one handle trespassers in the storehouse, while the other protects religious doctrines of the Furude? That doesn't make sense. Tomatake's death must have been caused by the Furude family's injections. Yeah, see? She's with me on this. She's like, Tomatake was killed by that syringe the same way Rika killed herself. So Rika has the syringes. How did Tomatake die from that? Rika showed me the effect of it herself, clawing at her own throat and dying like that. But Tomatake shouldn't have been subject to the curse, at least according to the system of the Furude family. I don't understand why Keiichi hasn't been attacked. Did he have something exempting him from the curse, unlike Takano? I'm curious to that too. Just like how only Satoko was spared? Keiichi is a friend of Rika's. Does that mean if you were close to her, you wouldn't be cursed? Was she more important than the whole system? Impossible. The hag's at the top of the curse system. Rika couldn't have been higher than her. Scribble, scribble. Are there multiple ways to determine the subject? Are there as many curse execution groups as there are subjects? Do they work separately? Oh, this is a mess. None of my theories add up. If I mess up my reasoning, I might make the wrong person the target of my revenge. I don't understand who the enemy is or how Satoshi was made to disappear. How much did the hag know? It really was a huge loss. I have so many things to ask her. I'm not killed her by accident. Shit. In that respect, I've already failed in my revenge. The underside of Hinamizawa really does run too deep. The whole page is blacked out with scribbles. Interesting, so... like, we've taken out a couple people, but it seems like we don't have a conclusion yet as to, like, who's making the poison, who's delivering the poison. Is it a Furude family thing? Does Rika have her own team? Is it something she was pressed into doing? We're missing the clues as to that. That's like the first arc's clue, or arc's ideas. That'll probably be the last arc. Or the second last. I mean, there's only so many choices. I'm guessing the solution to everything will be at the last arc. We'll see. We still don't know enough about those syringes. We haven't even... I'm surprised they even got brought up again, because we haven't seen them since the first arc. We haven't seen the actual syringe be relevant for since the first arc, and now it's being brought up again. But only, like, vaguely, as as having existed and being used by Rika. Which is only a small hint. They're only giving us a small breadcrumb. They're whetting our appetites for the syringe solution. Maybe that'll be the next arc. Maybe, or maybe not. Hey everyone. Are you still alive? Kimiyoshi was hanging from the collar with his head turned up to the ceiling. He didn't move when I walked in. Maybe he's already dead. Satoko was lying on a cross-shaped restraining table, glaring at me with red and swollen eyes. Must have been that way from crying. I wanted to put her on that special restraining table to pound nails into her hands, but she was too small for that. I walked up to Kimiyoshi and poked his body with my toe. There was no response. Uncle Kimiyoshi, are you dead? Murderer, murderer. Maybe Satoko witnessed Kimiyoshi's last moments. I took a thick knife from the wall and stabbed Kimiyoshi with it. There was no response. Uncle Kimiyoshi, if you're alive, you'd better tell me, okay? You can't fool me. I walked over to the pulley that was suspending Kimiyoshi. Last chance, are you alive? Let me know if you are. I paused for a moment and turned the pulley. Kimiyoshi's body swayed strangely in the air. It looked more like a corpse. Like that. Shion said, why are you doing this? Oh, I get it. The door to the cave was still open. I bet Satoko talked to the one in the cell while I was gone. That's how she knows my name, although that's actually not my name at all. I'm not Shion, I'm the real Mia. The one you all thought was Mion is Shion. It's kind of confusing. Well, if you don't get it, that's okay. How dare you kill Rika? I allowed Satoko to watch me take care of Rika's body. Of course, I let her see Rika's neck, too. Rika Furude deserved it. She came over to kill me. I just fought back, that's all. That's not possible. Rika'd never do a thing like that. If you don't believe me, that's fine. It's none of your business anyway. What are you going to do with me? I'm going to kill you. Satoko's eyes went wide. She was expecting my answer, I'm sure, but she still looked shocked. I bet she didn't expect me to state it so openly. I heard the noise of something hitting iron bars echoing in the huge cave. Shion's voice echoed there as well. No! Don't kill Satoko! I answered her clearly. Did you finally realize what you've done? Did you finally realize you didn't do anything to save Satoshi, though you had the power to? That's why he was killed. You ignored millions of chances to rescue him. This is your sin. Before finishing my sentence, I stabbed Satoko's right arm. Her blood started flowing out. This was nothing compared to what happened to Rika. I twisted the knife into her arm and she bit down hard, crying, Stop! Don't kill Satoko! Let her go! I don't care what you do to me, let Satoko go! Why couldn't you say that for Satoshi-kun? It's too late now. I was the one screaming like you back then, but no matter how loudly I screamed, it never reached them, spared them, or saved him. I mean, you know, I don't want to agree with, I don't agree with how far Shion's going, but I mean, Mion is perfectly okay with torturing or executing people to appease people, so I feel like you should just expect this to happen. It's like, well, it's like, all right, well, someone made you unhappy, so you had them tortured, and said you'd fucking kill them and their whole family. So you know, I'm gonna do the same thing. It's like, well, not always, you know, being your own karma, being your own source of karma isn't always a great thing. And Shion's taking it too far, but I don't know how much Mion can complain. It's like, well, you tortured me, sis. I'm gonna cause you as much suffering as possible now, too. Like, if that was actually her goal, I'd kind of understand that, but she's not trying to do that. She's kind of just trying to solve Satoshi's murder and doing it so sloppily. Oh, my goodness. Oh well. I guess we can all be glad when Shion dies, right? When Shion dies, we'll all be grateful because she's clearly gone too far. She needs mental help or someone to shoot her. You know, one of those two. One of those two. Either would be okay. We've gone a little bit too far. I feel like killing Kimiyoshi is like probably unnecessary, and that's where you're like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Like torturing or killing Kimiyoshi is probably a little bit far. If you don't have enough information, I'm like, Oryu? We got a beat on Oryu. Like, Oryu probably deserved to die. And probably suffer more than just a taser. But, like, Kimiyoshi, we don't really know enough about him. And everyone else is, like, we're, like, kind of making big guesses, which is a bit iffy. Rika, though, I mean, Rika tried to kill us, so whatever. Rika tried to kill us, so whatever. I don't know about that one. She has the syringe, so she or her group killed Tomitake, so maybe Rika dying is kind of like a wash, like, oh, well, like, sort of got killed in a confrontation with Shion, but she's also possibly killed Tomitake, so do I care? I don't know. Yeah, now that I know she has the syringe, I'm feeling like way less bad for Rika when she fucking died in the third arc. I was like, oh man, that's really sad. Or the second arc, I'm like, wow, that was really sad. She died, that's horrible. And now I'm like, wait a minute, Rika. Are you like, did you kill Tomitake? That guy legit did very little wrong. Very little wrong. He probably didn't deserve to be executed by you. Alright. I want to go through the same... I want you to go through the same thing I did! Look at that. Her emotions are spilling over and she feels like this is revenge for the suffering that Mion's caused her. Okay. I mean, it seems like she's way too scatterbrained to actually focus on something simple like revenge for that, but... And that she's, like, all over the place, but it seems to be one of Shion's motives is revenge on Mion. I stabbed Satoko's arm repeatedly, but the knife kept hitting her bone. It didn't feel like I was cutting any of her flesh. Stop, Mion. Stop, sis, stop. Okay, Shion. How about this? I'll tell you how you can save Satoko. Apologize to me 1,000 times. I'll let her go when you're done. How about that? I don't tell lies. If you really apologize 1,000 times, I'll keep my promise. Well, how about that? I'm sorry. Shion started to apologize like a broken record. She's so stupid and honest. She's not even thinking of cheating. I bet Shion really will count to 1,000. I stabbed Satoko in the wrist. There, I felt something hard. I guess I either crushed her bone or scraped it. It must have been extremely painful for her. Satoko screamed. Ah! Shion's voice got louder as if trying to overpower the scream. All you ever do is cry to get what you want. You think your Nini is going to appear out of nowhere, knock me aside and rescue you? Right. Yeah, right. The knife that was in Satoko's wrist, I slid it towards her elbow. Yeah! Ah! Satoko, can you hear me? Hey, listen. I slapped her face several times and made her look at me. Do you know what you've done? Do you know how your very existence is what cornered Satoshi? That's right, that's all you did to him. Every time you cried, Satoshi protected you. But have you ever considered what kind of a burden you were to him? He wasn't some superhero, he was just like you. He's just a normal human being. Have you ever thought of what he had to go through because of you? No, you didn't. You never even tried. You let Satoshi take care of you. You leeched off of him. Didn't she only know him for like a week? This might be a little bit far even for that. But anyway. It's like, she only knew him for a week. I feel like she might be a little bit obsessed with Satoshi, and to like an unhealthy degree. I don't know why I didn't notice that during the previous year's arc, but I feel like she might be a little bit too obsessed. This is a little bit far for someone you met a week ago. And had like spoke to like maybe 4 times. You leashed off him. And if he got injured for your sake, you lived by sucking his blood. You're cursed. How can you still call for him, huh? You're gonna pay for your sin with my help. Cry as much as you want, scream as much as you like, and realize Satoshi will never come for you. You cornered him, you made him disappear, you killed him! After telling her all I'd been wanting to, I exhaled roughly. What's this? You don't feel anything in your right arm anymore? Alright, let's use your left. I stabbed her left arm repeatedly and her blood flowed out, but Satoka's reactions weren't fun anymore. She didn't cry or scream like she did before, and that put me in a bad mood, so I stabbed the back of her left hand and twisted the knife again, but Satoko still just moaned. She didn't scream anymore. What's the matter? Stifling your screams in protest, thinking I was enjoying your cries? That's great! Satoko was unfazed by the mad laughter. She looked at me with gritted teeth and resignation. Yes, I think that's the truth. I cornered Nini. That's why he disappeared. I've known that ever since the day he vanished. I wasn't strong enough. I depended on Nini. I'm sure it was hard for him too, but I couldn't stop. You're right about that. I have no excuse. Satoko didn't sound as if she was mocking me or trying to please me. She spoke so naturally. Oh, that's interesting. I never realized you were aware of what you did. Nini's coming back. He'll come back someday. And when he does, I'm going to show him how independent I've become. I don't need him anymore. I won't hide behind him anymore. I'm going to show him that I really can live on my own. When he comes back, huh? I stabbed Satoko's arm in a mad frenzy, but she still didn't scream. She bit down tightly and swallowed her pain instead. Nini's coming back. I know he is. I'm surprised she's still alive, honestly. I'm waiting for him, and when he comes back, I'll apologize for depending on him so much. I won't give up until that day comes. I'll never depend on him again, ever. No matter what kind of hardships I have to endure, I won't ask him to help me. I won't call for help. I won't cry. I won't scream. If I cry, he'll come for me. Tell me to endure this myself. Damn, what do you think you're saying? Well, if it's fun for you, stab me as much as you please. If you think I'm going to cry for Nini, well, too bad. I won't cry ever. If you refuse to believe me, try it. Nini's watching. He's watching me endure this. He'll see I'm not like I was before. And when he sees that, he's going to come back. Try it. I won't cry. Try to see how strong Satoko Hojo is. That's actually pretty brave, Satoko. I like. She's still dead, but I'm like, wow, Satoko, that's actually pretty courageous of you. Shit, I'll show her. All right, I want to applaud Satoko for that speech. Midway through being tortured while being stabbed repeatedly, she's like, I'm not asking for his help. I'm gonna tank this myself. And screw you, man. That's pretty tough. That you're watching, right? I've become so strong. This won't break me down. This is nothing. This won't make me cry. I won't cry for your help. I can endure this. I'm gonna endure this. It's nothing compared to what you had to go through for me. Shit. Why doesn't she feel the pain? Doesn't it hurt? There's no way it doesn't. I've been stabbing her so much, the knife went in so deep. Her blood's pouring on the ground. I've been turning her flesh inside out. How can she still talk? Why doesn't she cry and scream? She's probably been dead for a minute. After she said what she wanted to say, she shut her mouth and didn't say a word after that. No matter how much I stabbed her, twisted the knife and tore at her, and ripped out her flesh, she didn't make a sound. What in the world is this? This isn't the Satoko I know. She's never as strong as this. If she was this strong, she wouldn't have been a burden to Satoshi. Why wasn't she this strong before? Too late. Everything's too late. This idiot's maturity came far too late. Her blood made my hand slippery and I dropped the knife. I was covered in blood from head to toe. Satoko was still enduring the pain. She was enduring this cruelty so she could display her strength. I couldn't defeat her. I couldn't crush her strength. She'd achieved her goal. She'd become independent and she didn't need Satoshi anymore. She still believes Satoshi will come back one day. She still looks forward to a day she can show her brother how strong she's become. But he hasn't seen any of that. Instead, I, who never even thought Satoshi would come back, was the one who witnessed her strength. What was I thinking? I thought Satoshi was dead. No, I assumed he was. But why? I never even thought of waiting for him. I didn't believe he'd come back. I didn't wait. I tried to avenge him, but I guess what I really did was forget about him. Satoko is different. She never even thought he was dead. Or maybe she did a little, but even so, she waited. Yeah, like people are waiting for Jesus to come back. He'll be back, I'm sure. She waited for a day when she could show him how much she'd grown. She waited patiently, and what about me? Well, I didn't do anything. I wanted to forget about my sadness, so I tried to find my enemy. I became a demon using revenge as an excuse so I didn't have to think like a human. I lost. I couldn't endure the pain of waiting for Satoshi, so I chose to become a demon. In other words, I got rid of my soul, the soul that loved Satoshi. In other words, I got rid of Satoshi himself. Satoko won. While she had been gritting her teeth, her mouth had gone slack. Her eyelids were half shut, but I could see her eyes a little. They looked like she was dreaming about something happy. Satoshi. He was there in her eyes. Satoko endured until Satoshi came for her. Satoko ran up to Satoshi. She jumped onto him. Satoshi hugged her. And they spun around. You can cry now. You didn't need to tell me that, game. God damn it. What's this? Some meta commentary? They're like, you're allowed to cry for Satoko now. Satoshi told Satoko that and she cried very hard. Satoshi rubbed her head so gently. We'll be together forever, he said, and continued to rub her head so gently. So gently. Satoshi, I was waiting for you too. What meaningless words. He was already dead inside of me. I never believed in our reunion. How pitiful of me to say that. Just because I saw Satoko and Satoshi together again. As Satoshi hugged Satoko, his eyes met mine. Shion, Satoshi said. I asked you a favor. What favor? I tried to remember. What kind of favor did Satoshi ask of me? He looked at me so sadly because I couldn't remember. That sad look tore my heart to shreds. He doesn't remember the promise? The promise was to watch over Satoko, by the way. It's like the promise you make in Day Night, right? Like the promise you make in Heaven's Feel to Ryder. You're like, yeah, we're gonna save Sakura. And in this case, we got the bad ending where we get the bad ending because we completely forget the promise and go to the final confrontation without Ryder. That's what this moment reminds me of. Except it's sadder because instead of making the choice, the character like actually forgot about it. The blood flowing out from me wasn't as pretty as Satoko's blood. My blood was a slimy liquid like vomit with filthy chunks of food in it. That's what filled my body. Whether it's a real curse or somebody's conspiracy, I won't disappear. I won't fall victim to it. You won't disappear. No. Not until I buy that teddy bear. I'll get the money soon. I won't go anywhere until then. What? A memory of the past. But when? Of course. This is a memory of the day before last year's Watanagashi. Satoshi called me on my phone then. My aunt's home. I gotta go. Oh, okay. Mion. Huh? His aunt was home, so I'm sure he wanted to hang up as quickly as possible. Satoshi paused and spoke. I'll leave. Satoko. My knees and elbows started to shake. My teeth chattered. My fingers were shivering. Satoshi asked me to... What have I done? I couldn't wait for Satoshi to come back, so I filled myself with evil thoughts and acted as I pleased. I didn't believe he'd ever return. I even forgot about Satoshi's last wish. His last request. How can I say I love him? I just wanted to forget him all my feelings of loss, so I made myself all bloody. How could I welcome him back now? I didn't believe Satoshi would come back. I didn't believe Satoshi was alive. I didn't think he was alive, so I thought he was dead. I believed in his death, and I killed him in myself. Nobody else did. I did that. But Satoko believed till the very end. She was rewarded in her final moments. Satoko wasn't here anymore. She had no more need of her bloody, painful shell. But I'm still here, trapped in my bloody, tainted flesh. I'm gonna rot inside of it. Satoshi was waiting for both Satoko and me. But to be reunited with Satoshi, we had to keep our promises. Satoko's promise was to be strong. Satoko kept her promise until the bitter end, and Satoshi embraced her. My promise was to take care of Satoko for Satoshi, and I never kept that promise from the beginning. Therefore, Satoshi will never embrace me. Even if I were to rub Satoko's wounds and ask her if they hurt, it wouldn't mean anything. And that was when I felt something behind me. It wasn't Satoshi or the thing that scared me before. I didn't know who it was, but it was right there, criticizing me for my mistakes. And then, I finally realized it. That thing is me. I'd always been there, standing behind myself, watching me break my promise. Satoshi asked me to take care of Satoko, yet I didn't keep that promise. I'd been watching that happen. I cried and gave up on myself. Wait, Satoshi gave up on me, and now I gave up on myself. What will happen to me now? I don't want to be in this darkness. I don't want to be all bloody. Don't leave me. If I give up on myself, what happens to my body? There'll be nothing left. The only thing I have left in me is an evil demon. Ah, I get it. I've known it for a long time now. I'm nothing but a demon. Cue more maniacal laughter. A demon doesn't feel sad. A demon's heart can never be in pain. A demon doesn't cry. Shion was still apologizing. She believed that was the only way for her to save Satoko. Her voice was growing hoarse and weak. Shion, you don't need to count anymore. Good job. I guess she realized what happened to Satoko. Shion cried in her cell. Being a demon isn't that bad, huh? I never knew how fun it could be to see other people cry and scream. I've already had plenty of fun in this human world. Maybe soon I'll kill myself and go back to hell. But don't worry. I'll make sure I kill you first. That's why I'm here, after all. Demons are pleased when they see people cry and grieve, see? Wait, you like Kei-chan, don't you? Alright, I'll rip him apart before your eyes. What a great idea. I'll kill you, and then myself after that. Onigafuji village really is a village of demons. They came from the swamp and attacked the village, and I'm gonna act like those legendary demons and wait for Oyashiro to judge me. That will be a suitable disaster for Namizawa, don't you think? Oh boy. This is going quite poorly for everybody. The grim dark end, the grimmer and darker ending, where we hack all of our friends to pieces. Goddamn. Oof. This is some rough stuff, guys. Not gonna lie. Kei-chan, it's me, it's Shion. You took a long time to pick up. I thought you weren't home. I was about to hang up. Sorry. I was just in the back. Wouldn't your family pick up for you? Or could your parents be out right now? Kei-chan? Well, no, they're not really. Anyway. Have you heard? About Rika and Satoko. No, what happened after that? Were they found? No, they haven't found them yet. Kei-chan, don't lose hope. Rika and Satoko, they were kidnapped, weren't they? Yeah, I don't think there's much doubt. Rika and Satoko were... nope. I'm sorry. About the mayor. What do you think happened after he was kidnapped? Do you think he's still alive? Keishi sounded confused. He wanted to believe Satoko and Rika were alive, which is why he's asking. He was just like Satoko. Unless the culprit was after money, the abductee would usually get killed right away. I'd never assume they are alive, but Keishi's trying to hold on to a little hope. I could feel his strength. It was greater than mine. But I'm a demon. I didn't come up with such an excuse. I think he was killed. Hey, wait. That was abrupt. I think it must be really hard to kidnap someone and keep them like they are. As long as they're not hostages, it would be the most practical to kill them once you're done with them. Kill them so readily? I mean, what's a human life or two. Anyway, it's a horrible thing, but that's probably what happened. The mayor was killed. I mean, the same happened to Rika and Satoko? No, they weren't some random old man. It was Rika-chan. It was Satoko. They couldn't kill them so easily. Keiichi was still refusing to believe what I said. He fought so hard because he didn't want to kill his friends within him. I wasn't like that, though. I killed Satoshi within me so easily, and I blamed Shion for not protecting Satoshi. But I killed him so easily. It's probably better to think that Rika and Satoko ended up the same way. Keiichi roared and cried. It was like their deaths were physically agonizing to him. Why kidnap someone then kill them? Screw curses, are people's lives that cheap? Or you see them killing without a second thought like this? Hey, weren't we literally doing this rant like a year ago when Satoshi disappeared? I'm pretty sure we literally had this like exact line when Satoshi disappeared. You're right. You're absolutely right. It would take a demon. I laughed at myself. I was sure Keiichi didn't notice. Shion? Tell me, why did Shinamizawa start needing someone to die on with Tanagashi? That's what I'd like to know. The fighting over the dam project is already over and done with. Yeah, why are people still disappearing and dying? Haven't enough people been cursed already? Why? Why? If there's a reason, say it now. I understand how you feel, Keiichi. I really do. The dam conflict ended a long time ago. Yet murders and disappearances happen every year under the guise of the curse. Why? Why is it happening? Some of them had nothing to do with it. Some of them didn't deserve to be cursed, so why? This hits really differently knowing that it's Shion talking, who's equally confused why people have to be murdered and disappeared. It's like Shion's like behind basically... Shion's behind like half of the deaths. Now that we know. Or Shion, who now thinks of herself as Mion, I should say. She's beyond like half the deaths. We still don't know half the other deaths, but thankfully there's a few more arcs to cover. And we're getting to the end of this one. That's what I'm asking you. I want to know as much as anyone. Of course. The curse of Oyashiro-sama never existed. It was a bizarre environment allowing people to kill in its name. The environment and nothing more. Nothing would have happened unless there were demons who danced in it. Listen, the curse never existed. It's too unrealistic. Just like you said, someone in the village is using the guise of the curse as justification for continuing these murders and disappearances. Everyone Tanagashi. They were cunning. They've been using the curse as a tool and made a system where they can get rid of 2 enemies in the village every year. And this year the system killed Takano and Tobatake. Why wasn't that enough? Why did the mayor and Rika and Satoko die? I don't give a shit about the past. The only thing I care about is Rika and Satoko needing to be killed. Why is that? I didn't say a word to Satoko, you know. Why even her? Why? Satoshi was speaking through Keiichi's mouth. How could I respond? I didn't know what to say. I could only feel myself being stabbed by the sharpness of those words. Kei-chan, please stop being mean. I don't have any idea what's going on either. Everything changed when we went to the ritual storehouse that night. When I heard Kano and Tomataki had been killed that night, I doubted my ears. And I realized it instantly. I realized what sort of position I was in now. The 4 of us snuck in there. True. That is probably a contributing factor to like Shion fucking going crazy and killing people, right? Is she realized like if they're dead, she's completely dead too, so whatever she does only buys her time. I haven't thought of that for a minute, but I'm sure that's enough to cause someone to break, right? When you're like 100% certain you're dead, especially if you sort of believe in the curse and desperately want to believe that it's, or like desperately want to believe it's like your aunt, or sorry, not aunt, grandma. Like, okay, well, you have to do something or everyone dies, and then you get on this whole revenge roller coaster tied to your other motive. It's like the combination of motives gets her to act against Mion and Boryu, and then she's like, well, I've killed one person, I'm not gonna stop now. It's kind of like she's like on the precipice, and then this extra pressure causes her to like, you know, causes a giant ass boulder to just start rolling down the hill, and you know, Boryu dies, and that's like the kick to get the ball rolling, and it just keeps going and going and going. And now she's like, well, if I can kill someone for this, I can kill someone for this, I can do this, and like I can justify it a lot easier. It's like unironically going the way Batman claims he's gonna go, right? Batman doesn't kill people because if he kills people, he'll be just as bad as all those other people because he'll just start killing people all over the place. That's Batman's justification, and I feel like we're living Batman's personal hell. We conveniently forgiven. When I thought about that, made my chest tight. It was so terrifying. You know that feeling, Kei-chan, don't you? That's why I confessed everything to Kimiyoshi. He wasn't mad. He smiled and told me if I was sorry, I would never be demoned away. He smiled at me and told me to leave it to him. I remembered Kimiyoshi speaking ill of Satoshi. I killed him, but everyone in Hinamizawa did that. I wasn't the only one at fault. When did you let the mayor know? Huh? I'm sorry, Shion. It must seem like I'm kicking you while you're down, but... Shion, you told him, right? You told Kimiyoshi, the mayor? Yeah. When did you let him know? Keiichi's tone was becoming sharper. The edge was cruel, but it was a sharp conviction. It wasn't a dull edge that caused excessive pain. It had a clean, pleasant sharpness to it. Did you know the mayor had a severe case of hemorrhoids and had gone to the hospital for treatment? Kei-chan? What does that have to... Please answer me. If you didn't know, then just say so. I knew he had hemorrhoids. It looked like sitting down was hard for him. He was going to the hospital. You know which hospital, right? I'm sorry. I don't know that much, but... Kei-chan, what does that have to do with... I want to ask you straight, Shion. When did you tell the mayor about everything? When and where? You can give me a rough answer, but please give me one. Kei-chan, why are you asking that? Very good, Keiichi Maibara. You know who I am, don't you? It was impossible. The day the mayor disappeared, from dawn until he vanished, there was no opportunity for you to contact him. The mayor left first thing in the morning for his examination at the university hospital all by himself without telling anyone. Shion, you said you don't know what hospital he went to, so you couldn't have contacted him until he got back. Isn't that right? His train was delayed by an accident, so he didn't return to his house until the meeting was about to start. There was no time for you to have told him before the meeting started, either. Shion, did you go to the meeting? Did you attend it and tell him there? If you didn't, there wouldn't have been any time left. After the meeting was over, the mayor disappeared on his way home. Actually, the meeting You didn't even go to the part-time job you said you went to that day. I'll cut to the chase. You haven't been seen since we were at the library together. Hey, Chit, Shion Sonozaki disappeared the day after Watanagashi. Haha. Bingo, Kei-chan. I'm impressed. Uishi says you've been missing. Despite that, you've been calling me every night like this, haven't you? Please, Shion. If something I said was wrong, please say so. Shion, I'm begging you. Corner me further. Corner me so the demon inside can't come up with excuses, so it can't escape. Shion, there's no way you could have seen the mayor, but if you did see him, the only time I could have possibly seen him on that day was after the meeting. In other words, it could only have been right before he disappeared, or else afterward. Click. I screeched and screeched with laughter, slamming down the phone. Very good, Kei-chan. That's right. It's me. I'm the one. Hurry and corner me. Let me be. Free. But was he going to tell the police? Or was he going to come here by himself? I wondered which it would be. If the police came, I'd struggle as much as I was able. I'd see how good Uishi would be at catching a demon. If Kei-chan came here alone, well, that wouldn't be smart of him. He couldn't complain about being eaten by a demon then. I'm gonna kill him. I'll kill him gruesomely while Shion watches. So Kei-chan, you shouldn't hold back. I only ever thought you were just a funny guy. I'd never thought to expect so much from you. Alright, we're going into the last scene. Are they gonna make us play with the whole last scene too? Redoing the last scene from her perspective. I don't know if that adds much to it, but hey, neither did that. Well, did the phone call? Not really. It took them a while to come for me. I had to wait until the following morning. I opened the gate without checking who it was. I was ringing the doorbell. I didn't care who it was. If it was the police, that'd be fine with me. If it was Kei-chan, Could he defeat me? Eiichi and Reina were there. Well, this is unusual. Aren't you going to school? We stayed home today. Kei-chan is one thing, but you too, Reina? You two are such troublemakers. I laughed. Let's not just stand here. Come on in. I didn't think Reina would come. I thought it would either be the police or Kei-chan alone. Yeah, she's scared of Reina, right? I'll try tricking Kei-chan into coming with me to the underground storehouse. Hey, no, why don't you try to figure out what I'm doing and stop me? You too, Kei-chan. If you figured out I was Shion, why don't you try to figure out the rest? I'll act like a demon. I'll struggle until the last moment. And I will. So don't hold back. Don't hesitate to kill a demon like me. Mion, first, I have something to apologize for. You do? What for? On the night of the Watanagashi, the ritual storehouse behind the shrine, I went in there. I didn't expect this to start with an apology. Okay, so he admitted his sin of entering the ritual storehouse. I guess that was manly of him. I don't even care if the storehouse is forbidden anymore. Whatever. The rule came from those who believed it was sacred at all. Mion, you called Rika and Satoku the day before last, didn't you? I don't remember doing so. If you have a reason to think so, could you let me hear? It was evening before dinner time. Rika should have come here, bringing a bottle of soy sauce, to have you share some with her. It was Reina speaking with confidence. She wasn't even trying to gauge my reaction. She was simply telling me the truth. That cleverness was pleasant to see. Why do you think that? It's not hard to understand, Mi-chan. You saw it too, didn't you? Rika's room? Oh? There was chilled tofu, but no soy sauce. The big bottle of soy sauce that should have been under the sink was nowhere to be found. What? Is that why she'd have come here? Reina sure is sharp. I tried to beat around the bush, but she was confident in her conclusions. She was cornering me. She was doing such a great job too, it really put me at ease. Okay, demon. Reina knows what she's talking about. What kind of excuse are you coming up with now? It's a long explanation. I'll get to the point. The contents of that refrigerator provided a vivid account of what you said over the phone when you lured her out. And there it is. The game is over. Reina, I was right about you. I don't like you. You're just too damn sharp. Shion's so obtuse she never even recognized this side of you. I had no idea. I had such an incredible detective right next to me the whole time. I can't believe you'd figure out everything down to the conversation from what was inside the fridge. You got me there. You got me. I laughed like crazy. I laughed because I was having so much fun. I sensed the poison in my stomach dissipating and felt free and refreshed. Mion, the police have suspected you for a long time now. Uishi's officers have had the house under observation so they could break in at any time. Kei-chan was threatening me. He was telling me I couldn't run or resist, so I should just surrender and accept my fate. You aren't doing that intensely enough, Kei-chan. Shouldn't you grab my collar and knock me to the ground? Today's the day I'm prepared to die. After that, they went easy. They just wanted to know the reason why Mion committed such crimes. You're all being too lenient. I'm a demon. A murderer. Are you saying, if you can understand the reasoning, murder's okay? A demon is a demon. A murderer is a murderer. Whether or not their motive is to have fun, live, or take revenge, it makes no difference. I'm trying to remember the plan. If they both came out, did the cops go in? Were the cops going to go in? I think that was the plan, right? If I recall correctly, the police couldn't intrude on her house. If I recall correctly, the police couldn't intrude on her house. So he was going in to talk, and if he didn't come out, or they sensed there was danger, the police were going to storm the place, and they were trying to bait Mion into doing something risky, doing something that would threaten him, threaten the two of them, so that they would like ring in the police. Which means, in theory, she could have gotten away with all this. Whether their motives to have fun or live, or to take revenge, it makes no difference. Why do you even want to know that? Why don't you just tackle me and take me to the police? Look, there. The demon's trying to deceive you. It's a pleasure to meet you both. I'm the successor to the Sonozaki family, Mion. Welcome to the Sonozaki house today. I'd like to greet you on behalf of our leader, Oryu. You seem to want to ask various questions. I'd like to answer everything as clearly as possible. I then told them about the strange events leading to the village becoming Hinamizawa, which Takano told me about before. Half of it was the truth, the other half was completely made up. I made it sound like it was only natural their best friend committed such a gruesome crime. Keiichi and Reina were both overwhelmed by the history of the village, which was swallowed by this gloomy fate. Oh well. I guess I made it sound interesting enough. I'm sure they enjoyed hearing me tell the story. But you know, I'm the one who committed the incidents that happened in the present time. What was the point in listening to those old folktales? Are you thinking it's going to make your friend's crime easier to swallow? You're just trying to satisfy yourselves. I'm a demon, a murderer, and I've sinned. These old folktales have nothing to do with the crimes I committed. The way those two listened to me so intensely almost made it fun. I told them people used to make canned human meat and conducted gruesome research during the war. Those were things Takano told me. Hey, you two. Haven't you realized yet? Haven't you realized what I'm talking about has nothing to do with what we're dealing with right now? But you look so serious. You're just fools. So, that the Hanamizawa village might once more be like Onifuji, so that we may again be a sacred existence worthy of worship. That's the mission of those who inherit the demon of the Sonozaki main family. Those who inherit the demon? For generations, the Sonozaki family has had a custom of including the character for demon in the names of its successors. If you write my name on your hand, it should appear plain as day. He tried to write Mion on his palm. Oh, she's right. The character for demon is in there. Not only in my name, the demon's engraved on my body as well. I stood up and made to show my bare back. Of course, I don't actually have a tattoo there. It's okay, Miche. You don't need to show us, okay? Thank you. I laughed a little. They must really believe I'm their best friend, Mion. My goodness, the demon has won already. They were doing so well at the beginning. I eventually sat down after I finished telling my made-up tearjerker stories. It's your loss if you shed tears now. I looked at Keiichi. He wasn't crying, but he was overcome by emotion. I looked at Reina. Surprisingly, she maintained an aggressive look, showing me her will to fight. But Rika and Satoko... You killed them, didn't you, Miche? You're good, Reina. You know what I told you isn't an excuse for murder. You usually act like a goofball, but that's not how you really are. You sure are something. You're sharper than Shion. I'm not saying it's okay if you killed other people. Regardless, Miche. You killed Rika and Satoko. I'm not trying to justify what I've done. I have a demon inside me. The demon is in my name, in my body, and in my soul. But the demon wasn't the one who killed them. I, Mion Sonozaki, did. Rika and Satoko died because Mion wanted them dead. And that will never change. I like how we're lying, because we didn't actually plan to kill Rika until she showed up at our fucking house. And then tried to murder us. I mean, we're kind of half thinking it, but like, we may not have actually killed her, it's not clear. And Reina actually tried to kill us and then killed herself. Come on, Reina, try to figure out who I really am. You still believe Shion, my victim, is the real culprit? Poor Shion. I'm making Reina believe you're responsible. Oh. That was it for Reina, though. She couldn't figure out I was Mion. Please, turn yourself in. Reina spoke to Mion. We'll go with you. We'll never leave a friend by herself. Crying, children, and Reina are the only things I can't beat. Too bad, Reina. I've won. Well, I'm aware of how serious my crimes are. Even if they accept me turning myself in, I'll probably never be able to come back here. I'd like to hear one last selfish request. What is it? 30 minutes is fine. Let me have some time alone with Keiichi. Keiichi looked startled to suddenly hear his name. You're so insensitive, Keiichi. That's what made my sister cry. Keiichi, is that okay with you? If you don't want to, I won't make you. She's right. It's okay if you don't want it. After all, I'm a demon. Kei-chan is a bona fide human who moved here from somewhere else. For us to be compatible, as long as Oyashiro doesn't exist to mediate, it simply isn't possible. Keiichi hesitated a little. Come on, Keiichi. Condemn me. Condemn me and tell me you'd never go. Sure, it's fine. Thank you. Fool. Yeah, actually, every time he does that, I'm still shocked. He's like, she's killed like 5 people. He thinks she's responsible for all the murders, and you're just like, I'll go with you. Remember when you were screaming like there's no way this goes well? What the fuck is he doing? I'd like to thank you too, Keiichi. Reina stood up, and as promised, she made to leave. It's fine, Reina. You can wait right here. I just want to go with the garden with Kei-chan. If you're bored, you can go to my room. You can read any manga you like. If there's any volumes you want, you might as well take them. I don't want... Kei-chan's books belong to me-chan. Hey, Gold. What's up, my dude? What's up, my dude? Reina couldn't bring them back home with her so freely. You're a good kid, only at times like this. I took Reina's head and rubbed it like Satoshi used to do to me. Hey, let's go, Kei-chan. The game was over. Too bad, Reina. At least this was more fun than if Kei-chan came alone. If he did, he could have asked me to run away with him after hearing my stories. Reina's eyes were like those of a judge. In those eyes, I sensed both affection and observance. I said 30 minutes, so she'd probably only wait for 30 minutes. If I took even a second longer, she'd call Uishi. I'm a little disappointed. Reina still thinks I'm Mion. She didn't manage to see through me. I thought someone like her would see the demon in me. Well, I guess I was wrong. You just landed at your hotel? Oh, sweet. Just chilling out, watching some streams. Seems good, dude. We're going into like the literal last minutes of this arc. We're seeing the confrontation from part 2 happening from the opposite perspective. Really interesting. Although I feel like there's not too much more information going to be revealed until like the last minute. This last like 30 minutes has just been like, we're playing the parts you've seen already from a different perspective, but they're not adding new information. It is what it is, though. Keiichi followed me after putting his shoes on. Can I hold your arm? Such a humble request. I don't mind. I took Keiichi's arm. It was as warm as Satoshi's, and I felt a bit bewildered. Do you get nervous with your arm through mine? You're not thinking, for example, I'd suddenly put you in a world-class joint lock or anything? You two say the same things. I don't think that at all. He was remembering the time I'd held his arm in town. I think Shion liked you, Kei-chan. I see. I told him how my sister felt. Shion was with Satoshi for a long time, but what they had was friendship. They never had anything more than this. Oh, good lord. You've watched the anime? You've watched this anime and you're scarred? Oh boy, oh boy. Yeah, we've had some grim scenes already tonight. There'll just be one more scene, but thankfully we know how most of this one goes, so it's not going to be too shocking. Or surprising. Shion was with Satoshi for a long time, but what they had was friendship, nothing more. And that's why she fell in love with Keiichi. If I were in her position, I would have also fallen in love with him. If Shion was ever able to fall in love with him, then I could fall in love with him too. Keiichi smiled gently. I almost saw Satoshi in that smile. The Keiichi I knew was worthless and superficial. I never realized he could smile like Satoshi. Mion and Shion, you got along well, didn't you? Well, I wonder. Kei-chan, do you think your right hand and left hand get along? My right and left hand? I don't think you described them as getting along or not. That's how our relationship is. You can't measure up by how well we get along. We'd been together since we were born. We've been living in this world as a pair, but I was Mion and she was Shion. Mion was treated specially, and I insisted on being her. Of course, that was unpleasant for Shion. Deciding to be fair, we switched places all the time. Haven't we gone through this exact speech like 3 times this arc? We were probably different from other identical twins. We didn't only like the same things or do things the same way, we even managed to share our knowledge and experiences, and when we talked about our experiences, we could share them. As Mion and Shion, we shared everything, and that's why each of us was both Mion and Shion at the same time. Well, maybe Shion was the only one who thought that way. I was a little different than that. I was simply letting Shion be Mion once in a while. I was Mion, successor to the Sonosakis. I was supposed to be treated specially. I always thought that was my privilege. Just like everyone tried to distinguish between Mion and Shion, I also tried to distinguish between us. Does Gold play Melty? Did Gold or Danny play Melty? Down to go back to Melty at some point. Play with some friends, that'd definitely be fun, especially because there's a couple characters I haven't played around with much. For example, if one of your hands is dominant, there'll always be a better hand. If only you had the one oven mitt, you would put on your dominant hand without thinking, right? I think it's like that for us. That doesn't mean anyone would be okay with losing their left hand. It's that kind of unexplainable relationship. I think maybe you live too close together and stop being able to see it, but I think that means you got along really well. I'm an only child, so the day before the festival, I was really jealous of when you and Shio were messing around with each other. I think you're jealous of something that doesn't exist. We used to have a lot of fun trading places with each other, but we have such distinctly different personalities, our resemblance only gets in the way. As an older sister, I felt I was mean for thinking that way, so as a punishment, I became Shion. Who am I? Oh, I never had a solid identity in the first place. I was Mion, and then I was Shion. I should have just accepted that. But something changed, and I don't even know if I'm Shion or Mion anymore. Had I really been stupid enough to hope Reina would figure that out for me? Shion is still alive. Oh, really? Keiichi looked into my eyes, and I nodded quietly. Yeah, I've been thinking to give her the most horrible death of all, so I kept her locked up. I never thought of a good way to do it, though. This was, of course, a lie. I've already come up with ideas, and I've begun to execute them already. I dumped the hag into the well in front of Shion. I dumped Kimiyoshi and Rika in there. I even killed Satoko. And right now I'm plotting to kill Keiichi, who Shion fell in love with. I am a demon. Any such gruesome act is simply pleasure to me. Oh, we're going here. Alright, that's when I felt a warm hand rubbing my head. It wasn't Satoshi's, but Keiichi's. Keiichi and Satoshi are totally different. Why did Shion fall in love with him? His rough hand didn't make me happy. That he understood my feelings was just my imagination. I wasn't happy, and it didn't feel good. Come with me. I want you to see all of my sins. Although, Keiichi, it might be the worst thing you've ever seen. This VN goes into their deep thoughts. Yeah, you wish you played it? It's pretty good, dude. It's pretty good. The second arc is actually this scene from Keiichi's perspective. This arc is the entire thing from Shion's perspective. Which, if you missed it, you get to see it from Shion's, not Mion's perspective. Because this isn't Mion. This is Shion impersonating Mion. Like, it's fucking crazy, dude. It's fucking crazy. Yeah. It's a huge fucking twist. It's awesome. Like, you go through the entire second arc and you're like, wow, Mion's one crazy bitch. And then you're like, it's like, wow, she's a psychopath. And you get through Shion and you're like, I can kind of see why she broke, but she's still fucking crazy. I'm gonna commit my final crime. I'm gonna let you see it. I'm gonna let Shion see it. AKA Mion. When I do, are you still gonna think I'm your best friend? Poor Shion. Kei-chan's going to die thinking it's you who's killing him. See, she's saying, you can tell it's lines like this, right? Kei-chan's going to die thinking it's you who's killing him. She's going to kill Keiichi. She wants to kill Keiichi. And he's going to think that it's Mion killing him. If you want to turn back, now's your chance. I don't know what impression you have of me on Sonozaki, but it will surely change once you go inside. It'll never change. I'll say it as many times as I need to. Mion is the best friend I could ever have. Oh, you're such a fool. You don't sound cool at all. I don't understand human feelings because I'm now a demon, but I think I can understand why she loves you. I opened the iron door to the underground storehouse and beckoned Keiichi inside. Come on, Keiichi. This is obviously a trap, don't you see? This basement is transparently suspicious. Don't you want to run to the police? But Keiichi was reckless. He swallowed and stepped inside. Really are a fool. We went down the stairs to the basement and I let him into the torture room. Everyone's shocked their first time witnessing this room. I used to be that way. Of course, Keiichi looked surprised too, but he was trying not to show it. Obviously, he wanted to express his shock at seeing this horrifying room, but he also knew that if he voiced that shock, he would be rejecting his best friend, who was trying to confess her sins to him. Alright. Well, have a great day tomorrow, and I hope you get a good night's sleep, my dude. He did everything he could to stifle his surprise, according to something a family had from a long time ago. Blood splatter has impact, despite the fact that it doesn't tax the sacrifice. But Tanagashi was meant a deterrent after all. My ancestors thought of all different kinds of showy torture. And that's a space for the audience. But Tanagashi is a deterrent after all. It wouldn't make sense if there were no guests. Keiichi smiled quietly as he listened to me, and no matter what cruelty came out of my mouth, he would embrace me. Was this really the superficial Keiichi Maibara I knew? Right here is where I killed everyone. There were no spectators to watch, but I held the Watanagashi on my own. Well, perhaps there was one spectator. Huh? A spectator? Me, I, the demon, was watching the entire time Mion held the ceremony. I started to laugh. How many hints do you need, Keiichi? When are you going to figure out I'm not your best friend? Hurry up, you're running out of time. The game is almost over. This was a game. It was a game of murder. I'd killed people using my revenge for Satoshi as an excuse. The demon was trying to capture Keiichi and kill him before Mion's eyes. But he had a chance. If he figured out I'm not his best friend, he'd win. If not, he's out. When did I come up with that rule? I guess it was sometime today. Or did I come up with it just a minute ago? Since the two of them aren't too bright, I decided to go easy on them, I guess. You're Mion's best friends, right? So she is trying to, he knows she is trying to bait him into thinking that she's not Mion and reject her. And she is. But the thing is, he wants to believe she's Mion, but she's not actually Mion. She's actually Shion pretending to be Mion, waiting for him to detect that she's not Mion, but a demon, or that she's Shion somehow. It's kind of funny that we're going to an extra layer. Like, we saw the first level of the game, and now we're seeing, like, there's an extra level where she's intentionally baiting it to see if he realizes that it's not actually Mion, but she's actually, like, impersonating Mion so well he doesn't realize it. You're best friends, right? Don't you believe me? Have you already made Mion into a murderer within yourselves? Why don't you try to protect the Mion within you? Why don't you try to believe your friend can't be a murderer? If you could believe until the end, like Satoko did, you'd have realized I wasn't Mion, your best friend, but someone who just looks like her. But if you can't, if you still believe that I'm Mion, well, then you're just like me. I killed Satoshi within me so easily, and you'll do the same. You don't deserve to live. Back there is the prison. Is Shion there? You're not going to make it. Once we reach Shion's cell, your time is up. The demon will win. Shion? Is that Shion? Kei-chan, is that you, Kei-chan? Keiichi ran to the cell. Are you alright, Shion? Are you hurt? No, no, no! Shion screamed. I was standing right behind Keiichi. It was time! My preparations to kill the boy she loved were complete. For her, this was going to be the worst possible torture. Calm down, Shion. Everything's over now. Everything. Keiichi tried to quell Shion's distress by talking to her in a calm voice. It was such a funny sight. Keiichi was the only one who had no idea of what was going on. Shion, how have you been? No more, please, no more! I don't want to see anyone else die! If you hate me, just kill me already! I'm the one you hate most, right? Oh boy. Kill me right now! Calm down, Shion, it's all over. It's gonna be alright, calm down. Relax, it won't kill you. I won't kill you just yet. Game over. I gave you enough chances. You cornered me quite well once, but that was it. You couldn't figure out I'm not your best friend, Mion. You couldn't believe Mion isn't a murderer. Please stop, don't kill Kei-chan. Kei-chan has nothing to do with this. You're gonna kill someone, kill me right now. I don't want anyone else to die. If you want to die so badly, after I've killed him, I'll take my time making mincemeat of you. In accordance with the ancient rites, I'll do it slowly, starting with your extremities. I'll shave you down and mince you to bits. I've had that mincing machine set up specifically for you, after all. Or would it be funnier if I were to mince up Kei-chan in front of you? Wait, quit it already. What do you have to gain by scaring her at this point? No, no, Kei-chan, run! It's taser time. Here you are, a demon. Go ahead and take my soul. I've been living to avenge Satoshi. But that wasn't what he wanted from me. That was just my own satisfaction. I couldn't even face Satoshi, so I'll bring this to an end the way I want it. The world became a mess. Satoshi hates me and I hate myself too. I'm gonna complete my revenge. I don't want anyone to sympathize with me. I won't pretend to be a tragic heroine. I'm gonna become a murderer that no one could sympathize with. So please, grant a suitable final moment to me. A bluish-white flash filled the cave. Keiichi fell like a doll. Shion reached out for him on the other side of the bar. She screamed at me not to kill him. Go ahead, cry and blame me. Don't even think of offering your forgiveness. I'm the most rotten existence in this world. Grant me the worst possible ending. Shion begged me desperately to let him go. I simply abused her, slandered her, disgraced her. The more she suffered, the deeper I'd fall into hell, but it wasn't enough. It wasn't even close to deep enough. It wasn't deep enough to compensate for my sins. This is... I dragged Keiichi to the table and tried to put Satoko on and restrained him there. He began to move sluggishly. The stun gun must not have worked too well on him. Can you hear it, Shion? I'm gonna get started now. Savor Kei-chan's fresh screams to your heart's content. Oh, interesting. There is a choice here. Let's save and see what happens. I gotta see what happens, right? Alright, let's see what happens when we become transfixed by Keiichi's gaze. I believe he gets out of it, right? This is probably where he gets out of it. Okay, we clicked the wrong solution. This should get us killed. Give it a fucking rest. Keiichi's growls resounded from the pits of his stomach. What a delightful sound. It was like he wanted to rip me apart. Awake at last. I lied to you before, you know. About having wanted to give Shion the most miserable death of all, but locking her up because I hadn't thought of a good way. It was a lie. I smiled menacingly as I laid out the huge nails and hammer specifically made for the nail table. I'll kill her, but only after her soul drowns in the screams of the many people who died because of her. Wouldn't that be poetic? Who are... Huh? I'm Mion. Mion Sonozaki. Did the fear drive you from your mind? No, you're not. There's no way you can be Mion. My hand stopped dead in its tracks. Kei-chan? Shit. I decided it would be too late once we reached Shion's cell, so the name-guessing game is already over. Ah, well, whatever. Bring it on. I'll listen. This is your last chance. Oh, yeah? If I'm not Mion, who am I? Come on, Kei-chan. Guess who I am. Try and save Mion, the girl who fell in love with you. And then I heard it. I most definitely heard it. Keiichi's mouth trembled as he spoke the words, yet his eyes shone with a strong conviction, and he spoke the truth. You're Shion, aren't you? Ooh, interesting. If you get this, you get a bad end. Wow, you're right. You actually won. You're amazing, Kei-chan. A strange feeling fills my chest as I shiver. I convinced myself there was no way he could guess, but he did, and I couldn't help feeling a bit surprised. This Keiichi had yet again pierced through my disguise. You aren't Mion. Give me back the Mion I was with just now. Who are you? Huh? You aren't Mion, right? Like I said, I'm Mion. That's not it. That wasn't what I meant. You aren't Mion. Why do you think I'm not the older sister? We didn't actually play the scene, did we? I don't know. It's just a feeling. We didn't actually play that scene. That was the second arc. In my mind, memories of the time Keiichi recognized me at the toy store had been revived. Yes! Even back then, he could tell I wasn't my sister Shion. I feigned composure and offered a comeback at the stray face, but on the inside I was shook. We were both capable of becoming Mion or Shion. But because I was the real Mion, and only Shion legally on paper, reversing the roles was even easier for me. Our tones of speech, quirks, our auras. We mastered each other's habits so perfectly, even our parents were unable to tell us apart. In fact, wasn't that exceptionally sharp Reina not able to figure out I wasn't her friend Mion after all, despite being so close? So why has this Keiichi seen through my disguise twice? Why do you think I'm not the older sister? My ears perked up, eager to hear the answer. Keiichi's reply was a soft murmur like an insect's whisper as he gasped for breath in pain. His voice was quiet, it was nearly inaudible, but I could almost recognize the words on his lips. Just a feeling, he says. Wow. Yet again, it was just a feeling. Didn't he say the exact same thing to me the time at the toy store? How nice. What a splendid answer. You'd think why my sister of all people fell in love with him? However, no. Rather exactly because of this. Along with my raving madness, the blood that was simmering in my veins until now began to chill and coagulate. If I were to describe it, it felt like the stagnant, muddy water flowing through a gutter. Even now, it's so hilarious I could fall over laughing, but I didn't smile. On the contrary, my face was vacant and austere, like a no mask of frigid ice. And then, the darkness seeped into the innermost depths of my mind, and I was already parting with my self-restraint. Human being. I reach out and touch Keiichi's hair, matted with sweat and caked with blood. He whips his head away at once in disgust, as if he were staving off a housefly, and glares at me defiantly. Don't touch me, demon. Give her back. Give Mion back. Give me back my best friend Mion. Wait, isn't this like exactly how the scene plays out normally? Having lost liberty over his whole body, he continued to howl and cry as if he were spewing blood. I was supposed to have sold my soul and become a demon, but faced with such bitter rejection, I felt the crumbled remnants of my emotions stir within me. Munch, 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 crunch, crunch. My throat begins to itch. The crooks of my elbows, my wrists, and every other joint in my body tingle and prickle, and I feel restless. The more restlessness and irritation pile up, the more this squalling, whimpering person besides me feels bothersome, revolting. So awful, I could slaughter him right away. To be frank, until now, I had no intention of killing him. I was truly ready to spare at least his life, if he guessed the right answer. That was the rule I decided upon. I'll admit it. Like Shion, I've fallen in love with him. He was incredibly silly and good-natured, unbelievably warm-hearted and gentle. Talking to him made me feel contented. Besides, I even sympathized with him. Unlike the lot I'd dealt with so far, Keiichi was indeed a victim. caught up in my selfish revenge drama. And now that my revenge was almost complete, I didn't mind saving him. It may sound too convenient, but perhaps the human side of me that was fond of Keiichi wanted to save him, to seek forgiveness for my actions. But I've changed my mind. Having witnessed him guess the right answer before my eyes, my heart was suffused with a stinging, gaping, overpowering darkness as if it were freezing over. Why? Why was Shion alone able to meet such a wonderful person? Satoshi could only make a vague distinction between me and Shion. Satoshi abandoned me and ran away. But Keiichi trusts Shion. He's defending Shion, who he values as his best friend, by seeing through my lies. And as a result, he gave up on me. Detestable, maddening, despicable, enviable. So much I want to kill him. That's right, the moment he defended Shion, he became one of them. Equally guilty, you low-life scum. I despise you. Despise you, you fucking piece of shit. Please stop, don't kill him. Keiichi, get out of here. Munch, munch, munch. What a nuisance. Shion's screams coming from the corner of the chamber were enjoyable before, but they felt unbearably noisy and pissed me off. How about I get rid of Shion first? I wanted to kill her after she had the most exquisite taste of anguish and terror, but now I could barely suppress the urge to slaughter welling up within me. Keiichi was relentlessly yelling his protest towards me. His throat closed up eventually, and he gasped for breath, hoarsely continuing to demand her return. Kei-chan. This may not be something pleasant to take to the grave with you, but you really seem to want to know, so I'll tell you one thing. The demon had already been dwelling within me for a long time. It had been gnawing at my heart, trying to spur me to violence, but I suppressed it with reasoning. The demon called down, and I convinced myself it disappeared. As it turns out, I was wrong. It never left me. It had just been asleep inside of me. When I learned about Satoshi's disappearance, my ailing heart had crammed itself with rage to compensate for the despair. But that was the limit of my insanity. I would never have snapped. Time healed me, and my memories of Satoshi were neatly wrapped up and pushed into the back of my mind. The demon had awoken again thanks to a certain small opportunity. What do you think that opportunity was? It was the smallest of things. It might be a strange thing to hear from a demon, but you're the reason everything got so messed up. Oh? A tear rolled down my cheek. That's right. Back then, if you hadn't given the doll to me on, none of this would have happened. You probably can't understand. I don't expect you to. But you see, after that, everything began to topple over one by one, like clattering dominoes. It all got out of hand. It's normal you don't realize it because it's so small, but as a person to knock over the first one, you're the cause of this tragedy. Back then, if Keiichi hadn't shown any affection, Shion wouldn't have been overjoyed. He wouldn't have been overjoyed and cheerfully boasted about him to me. As I was listening to her, I was reminded of Satoshi. I became jealous of her for having someone she loved so close to her. It was a very small jealousy, but it awoken the demon inside, sleeping deep inside me. And after that, I just let him take over. The demon fed on the copious amount of sadness I held for Satoshi, and in return committed heinous acts Satoshi would never be happy with, all in the name of avenging him. And now, the events that followed me were inviting me to the realm of demons with no return. Can't be, can it? I'm not surprised you weren't aware. You are without a doubt the cause of this, Kei-chan. And back then, if you hadn't chosen to give the doll to Mion, we would have arrived at a different future. That wasn't right. Wouldn't pinpointing a small action at the beginning be the height of transferring blame? You're implying such a stupid thing had awoken the demon inside me. Even without his act, it would have woken up anyway. At the end of the day, it's all my fault. I didn't fight the demon. I allowed it to reside in my soul, and I offered it in my heart. He didn't hide his tears. They were pouring down his cheeks. Maybe he was crying in my place, as I was not free to do so, having chosen to become a tearless demon. And that's why I have to go on as the demon. There's no room for emotion or hesitation anymore, and then snap. No! Shion's wails rasping like silk tearing apart, along with my screams of ecstasy. The last thing I heard were those everlasting reverberations. This is just the ending, isn't it? A case of serial disappearances occurred in Hinamizawa. The suspect is Shion. Allegedly, she abducted, imprisoned, and killed 4 residents: Oryu, Kichiro, Rika, and Satoko between the 19th and 21st. Preliminary investigation was delayed due to insufficient evidence by the time the case was resolved. By chance, the case was solved rather abruptly. On the morning of the 22nd, a patrol vehicle stationed outside the Sonozaki mansion heard screams from within, and personnel infiltrated the premises as an emergency measure. Their missing elder sister and 2 of her classmates, Keiichi and Riena, were taken into custody. However, Keiichi, who had previously been lured into the crime scene, had sustained stab wounds perpetrated by the subject. He was transferred to an emergency unit, but they were diagnosed as a minor injury. Having been the one with utmost opportunity to engage in conversation, he will be subject to interrogation once he has recovered from the shock. Furthermore, the apprehended suspect was found collapsed at a place 2 meters from where Keiichi was restrained and sustained scratch wounds on her throat. She was transferred to an emergency facility but pronounced dead at 13:48 or 1:48 p.m. on the 22nd. The official autopsy determines the immediate cause of death was hemorrhagic shock due to excessive blood loss. Hair, pieces of skin, and blood of the 4 missing people were recovered from the hidden chamber discovered on the outbuilding basement of the Sonozaki property where they were supposedly killed. It was concluded the victims were assaulted in a hidden chamber. Their bodies were discovered at the bottom of the well, as per the testimony of victim Mion Sonozaki. In addition, investigations continue into any possible connection to the series' mysterious deaths in recent years, but no evidence of Shion's direct or indirect involvement has been found. There's many obscurities to the motive behind the incident, and due to extreme non-cooperation from the Sonozakis and residents of Hinamizawa, a large amount of time will be required to clarify the matters. The local police offer this may have been an internal lynching incident as punishment for sacrilegious acts carried out against Hinamizawa's religious beliefs. It's been established the incident is unique and rooted in regional community beliefs, and a cautious investigation has been ordered by the prefecture police. We expected to gain valuable hints from the missing person as the suspect's sister, who was under confinement for the longest time period, but it was observed she had sustained severe mental trauma, and her inquiry has been postponed in favor of her psychological and physical recovery. According to her primary care physician, though, her condition is serious. There's strong prospect of recovery, and she's at present undergoing rehabilitation with support from her close friends. Which close friends? Most of them are dead. Several weeks passed since then, and after that incident, I was rescued by Uishi and his team, who Reina summoned. I had no other after effects aside from my consciousness that had been wiped white. If I were to have any at all, it would have been the deep scars left on my heart. As I was being examined, I was subjected to various queries from Uishi. I wanted to answer him with whatever I knew, but I had no idea if it met his expectations, and neither did I bear a responsibility to do so. From what I had heard, Shion had already lost too much blood by the time the police arrived, and she stopped breathing. They urgently called for an ambulance and took her to the clinic, but there was barely any time for first aid, and she took her last breath. The silver lining was Mion was safe and taken into custody. Until I lost consciousness, I was afraid she might fly into a rage and murder Shion, but I was glad we managed to avoid the worst-case scenario. Only when Mion was rescued, when she was emaciated, and she had sustained severe psychological trauma. Apparently, at the time of her rescue, she'd been unable to respond to police questions. And right now, she's at a large hospital in the vicinity, undergoing treatment for her psychological and physical injuries. In the beginning, when Reina and I visit, her eyes were downcast, and she looked worn out. It's a terrible state to be in. But despite it, as of late, she's on her way to recovery, well enough to show a few smiles. Of course, we've been careful not to bring up Satoko, or Rika, and especially Shion. The police later conducted an on-site investigation several days after the incident. Particularly the well in which Satoko and Rika's bodies were disposed of by Shion was carefully surveyed, and true to Shion's testimony, the girls were discovered. Apparently sediment accumulated at the bottom of the well, and hence the discovery took several days. Along with Satoko and other victims, several skeletal remains that were several years, even decades old, were found. But it's not like I would know much about it. Even once I was summoned back to that place to assist with the investigation, I didn't really help them find anything important. The family in Okinomiya came home. Mion and Shion's parents came home every day, along with many followers, to apologize. And no matter how much my parents refused, they kept piling banknotes worth millions of yen as compensation. This is like the same thing, except it's Shion. There was an envelope with a letter inside one day. I had no idea it was written, but my parents discussed amongst themselves for 2 nights, and without consulting me, decided to move from Hinamizawa. I'm 6. I thought this was supposed to be the bad end. I was expecting us to get killed really quickly and the thing would end, but it's still going. Are you going? End of next month. Not even able to stay in the city for 6 months. Even Meecham would be sad, you know? It's gonna be lonely around here. Sorry, I don't know if I should talk to Mion about this. I feel lost. Once Reina heard me say that, she insisted I had to tell her no matter what. I'm sure you feel it's an awful thing to tell her, but I'm sure Michan will get more hurt if you quietly disappear without letting her know. So how about we all go tell her together, okay? You're right. Oh, I see. So Kei-chan's going here from Hinamizawa, huh? Even though she heard it from me, Mion whispered those words sadly, but she didn't seem surprised. Surely she had mentally prepared herself for this outcome somewhere in her heart. Sorry. I plan on returning someday. I promise. It's alright, you don't have to force yourself. Even if you come back, there probably isn't anything good for you here. Michan. Reina and I wanted to say it wasn't so, but after such a tragic incident, what consolation could we offer that would help? To Mion, who suffered a greater pain than we ever had. And so we stood there, unable to say anything, just wallowing in silence. Maybe I should just go to Tokyo as well. Huh? I heard I'll be discharged from the hospital next week, and there isn't anything for me around here either. Even if it isn't Tokyo, I just want to be somewhere far away where no one knows about me or Hinamizawa. I'm not really thinking about something convenient, like starting over. I'm just exhausted. I want to throw everything away. Mion had been forced to carry the name of the next head of the Sonozakis and representative of the three great families, due to a small misunderstanding. Despite feeling uncertain and weary about her unplanned responsibility, she was nevertheless earnest in giving her all to fulfill her duties. But to think all that had been concluded in such a manner. It was such a tremendous loss, it was almost a surprise she hadn't lost her mind. Who can really blame Mion for making such a faint-hearted remark? And so I wanted to devote even a little bit of my remaining time here for her. That's right, Mion. You want to go somewhere together? Where? Like a trip or something? I don't have a lot of time left here, so I thought we should at least recover some good memories. Okay, it's kind of far away, but how about another big city where we could try some good food? This is a really long alternate ending, by the way. And some shopping? Well, I don't know. Yeah, I think that sounds wonderful. We should go, Michan, okay? But wait, Reina, aren't you coming with us? After hearing that, even I grew puzzled. Hadn't I suggested all three of us hang out together? I don't really want to be the third wheel. You two should go by yourselves. I'll be looking forward to souvenirs. Boom. Mion blushes vigorously. I was slow to react because I didn't understand what Reina was getting at, but seeing Mion's face imbued with color after a long time, my heartbeat grew faster for a moment. It wasn't what I implied when I suggested the idea, but depending on the point of view, wouldn't this be an invitation to a date? I'm probably getting ahead of myself. After seeing it that way, I was overcome with embarrassment, but there was no way I could go back out after coming this far. It was all for Mion's sake. Put yourself together, Keiichi. Well, how about it, Mion? Only after getting permission from the doctor and your parents. I'll make sure you don't tire yourself out. Think about it, okay? Okay, I got you. I'll think about it, okay? Oh, Michan looks so cute today for a change. I'm so happy. I'm so happy. After that, we spent the day talking about harmless stuff that happened in school or in the neighborhood until it was evening. I felt like Mion regained some of her spirit and acted a bit like she used to, so I was happy. After a few days, she contacted me to say she was okay with my plan, and after spending more time convincing my folks and Mion's parents, we set off on a day's trip to Metropolis that had one of those bullet train stations. Whoa, I haven't been here in a while. It's grown so much. As soon as she stepped out of the station, Mion set eyes on scenery sprawling with people and cars. She shared her feelings and excitement as she looked on admiringly. From what I heard, unless it's on very important business, Mion rarely gets to leave the village, let alone come to a big city like this. Because of that, everything she saw looked fresh and fascinating to her. She pranced around merrily, almost like a child. Hey, Kei-chan, where are we going after this? Let's see, judging by your preferences, how about that? The place I was pointing to, I checked out in advance. It was a massive, beautifully decorated gaming arcade that towered over the corner of the station shopping square. Whew, we sure had a hell of a time. I had so much fun. It's been a long time since I played so many games at once. As I sat down on the bench, Mion was gleefully draining her can of juice with a huge smile. That expression was unlike the gloomy one Mion wore at the hospital. Next to me was the Mion I knew so well. Earlier we'd had a blast vowing to conquer all the consoles in the vicinity and made quite the ruckus without caring about the people watching. Mion was enjoying herself playing on consoles she wasn't used to, and had gone on a rampage laughing out loud, getting worked up, and challenging me to matches. Although I couldn't help thinking about what-ifs as I was playing with her, about how much fun it would have been if it weren't just the two of us, but also Reina, Satoko, Rika as well. I'm sure Mion must have been thinking the same thing, which is why I outdid myself. making so much noise, trying to battle the loneliness. And I realized, hey Mion, what's up, Kei-chan? With faint drops of sweat coating her forehead, Mion turned to face me with a broad smile. Her cheerfulness was likely just her being considerate towards me for having brought her here. If that was so, I needed to do the same for her. You told me it's your first time seeing those, but were you serious? You got 2 high scores on your first time playing. You're unbelievable. That was actually 4, Kei-chan. These games are all about sense, intuition, and great eyesight. It's all thanks to never neglecting my everyday discipline. More importantly, Kei-chan, shouldn't you be feeling ashamed of having your advantage used against you? Whoa, 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 hold it there. Remember how you distracted me by randomly pointing somewhere during air hockey and saying, look, what's that? That's against the rules. You're goddamn brutal. Winner takes all, losers fall, right? For the time being, it's alright if her well-being's a front. All I hope for is that someday it becomes real and she recovers her old, cheerful self. Speaking of which, the game arcade's changed quite a bit, huh? A little while ago, I would have expected a dim place stinking of cigarettes, but I'm surprised I got to see so many people with their families. Right. I guess hanging out like this once in a while is pretty fun, too. What time is it now? Around 5 p.m. Oh, how long before we have dinner, right? Where do you want to go before we leave? How about fast food, like hamburgers or something? Sounds nice. Before we go, excuse me for a bit. Mion said that and stood up from the bench. I found it odd for a minute, but I understood her intention, and they'll have toilets at restaurants, you know. Instead of a reply, I had empty cans thrown at me, and Mion stuck her tongue out at me and left in a hurry. After I watched her retreating figure, I plopped on the bench and looked at the sky. The sky was pure blue and crystal clear. It felt amazing. Everything seemed to be glowing and bathed in the brilliant summer sun. It was a good thing we came here. Mion also seemed to show signs of recovery. Oh yeah, I may as well try asking her if she wants to come see me at Tokyo next time. It would be cheaper if she stayed at our new place there, but I feel like our parents may be concerned for a while. We still needed some more time to go back to how it was. I'll have to look for a place she can stay at. And after that... Why, hello there. Oh, hello, what? I'm so sorry, Kei-chan. The line for the toilet was really long. Look, I bought some drinks and I made you wait so long. Which would you like? Hi, my Kei-chan. Don't tell me you fell asleep. This is pathetic. It's not very gentlemanly to doze off on a date with a girl, you know? Kei-chan? Seriously, how long are you down? Come on, wake up. Kei-chan? Huh? No! Wait, so that's the bad ending? I know we picked the bad ending, but not only was that fairly long, how was that the bad end? How is that the bad end? A lot of the stories have ended like that. Alright. Well, obviously we'll go look at the good ending, you know. We intentionally picked the bad ending. I'm not sure how that was a bad end. That seemed like a fairly good ending as far as things go. Everyone's happy and then Keiichi dies. Like, okay, that's not as far as endings go, that seems okay. Most of our endings result in us dying, and those are the good endings, so... From my perspective, that seems like an alright ending. I'm curious to see how the good ending goes. Let's play that one out now. Alright, so, instead of becoming aware of his gaze, we turn around and face him. Let's pick the good ending this time. Give it a fucking rest. Keiichi squeezed out those words. He sounded good, like he was gonna bite me. Awake at last, are we? I lied before, you know, about having wanted to give Shion the most miserable death of all, but locking her up because I hadn't thought of a good way. It was a lie. Did we just play out the actual ending this time? There's some minor changes in that one where it's like Shion instead of Mion. You see through Shion in that ending. You see through Shion, right? In this one, we're probably not going to see through Shion, I guess, and we'll just play out the Arc 2's ending, I guess. And then in the bad end, we killed ourselves. We killed ourselves, and Keiichi lived. So in the good ending, I guess maybe we play out things as normal, and he thinks Shion is the person in the cell. I smiled as I laid out the huge nails and hammer specifically made for the nail table. I'll let her hear the screams of all the people who died because of her, and after they're soaked into her very soul, I'll kill her. I got pretty good taste, right? Who are you? Huh? I'm Mion Sonozaki. Have you lost your mind from fear? No, you're not. There's no way you can be Mion. I stopped moving. Kei-chan? Shit. I decided the naming game would be over once we reached Shion's cell. Therefore, even if he guesses this time, it's too late. Oh well. Sure. I'll listen. This is your last chance. Okay, we're doing this again. I see. And if I'm not Mion, who am I? Come on, Kei-chan. Guess who I am. He's gonna guess a demon this time, in the quote-unquote good ending. Why don't you try and save Mion, the girl you fell in love with? A demon. Huh? You're not Mion. Mion was just here. Give her back. Kei-chan, is your brain really doing okay? You're not going crazy with fear? Don't touch me. You damn demon, give her back. Give Mion back. My best friend, give Mion back. I listened to him with a blank expression. I know it's nonsense to demand her return when she's in front of me. But this person in front of me can't be Mion. I can't accept it. Oh, that's great. I'm not Mion or Shion. He didn't even see me as my sister. No, that's not it. He protected the Mion in his heart until the end. He didn't accept the fact Mion was a murderer. And not just that either. He protected the Shion in his heart as well. He didn't conclude that if Mion wasn't a murderer, he must have been Shion. To Keiichi, Shion was someone who always made fun of Mion. But that was it. It wasn't like they'd known each other for a long time, but Keiichi protected her. He protected Shion from being a murderer. That's why I'm a demon and not Mion or Shion, right? A demon, huh? A demon, that's stupid. Wasn't she claiming to be a demon in her head earlier anyway? Isn't that right on the money? Kei-chan, you trying to drown me in my own tears? However, Keiichi didn't back off. He kept screaming. He screamed loudly so that I could hear his voice even when I was stuck inside of a demon. You can do it, Mion! Don't lose to this piece of shit demon! You're strong! Show me how strong you are! Surely he isn't talking to me knowing I'm the real Mion, right? He's just confusing us again, so there's no reason to let my heart be disturbed by Keiichi's screams towards Mion. Come on, Mion! Mion! Why'd you lose to a demon like this? You're not that weak, are you? Don't give up. Fight! Fight! He's right, I didn't fight back. How did he know? How did he know I didn't fight back? I lost to the demon. After all, I'm weak. I'm not strong enough to defeat him. Even so, Keiichi continued to talk to Mion. His voice had become hoarse and he began sobbing. He kept mumbling. Mion, Keiichi, this may not be something pleasant to take to the grave with you. You seem to want to know, so I'll tell you this one thing. A long time ago, the demon came to live inside me. Yep. You suppressed it with your reason. The demon had become quiet, and I got to thinking it went away. As it turned out, I was wrong. It hadn't left. It was sleeping inside me. It was the truth. When I learned about Satoshi's disappearance, my weak soul couldn't take the sadness, and anger filled me to the brim. But insanity, that had stopped there. Time healed me, embraced me with memories of Satoshi. The demon woke again to a certain small opportunity. What do you think the opportunity was? It was a little thing. This might be strange for me, a demon, to say, but you're the reason everything got so messed up. A tear rolled down my cheek. I'm going to read this a little bit faster because it feels like I've read it 3 times now. At the time, if you'd given me that doll you got, without hesitation, maybe everything wouldn't have gotten so twisted. Can't possibly understand. I wouldn't expect you to, but you see, all sorts of things started falling over like dominoes after that, and soon it was too much for me to control. It only makes sense you wouldn't be aware of knocking over the first one. It was so small, but you were the one who set them up. If Kei-chan hadn't done something so insensitive, Shion wouldn't have cried. Shion cried and talked to me about it. It reminded me of Satoshi. I became jealous of her for having someone she loved so close to her. It was a small jealousy, but that little feeling woke up the demon who was sleeping deep inside of me. And after that, I let the demon take over. The demon ate up my sadness and filled my heart with revenge. Although I knew it wouldn't make him happy, the scary incidents that followed dragged me to hell from whence there's no escape. Can't be. It only makes sense you wouldn't be aware from it. Even so, Kei-chan, you're without a doubt the cause. If you had nonchalantly given me the doll that day, I don't think this would have happened. Was I simply transferring blame to Keiichi? Such a tiny thing woke up the demon inside me. It would have woken up eventually. I was at fault. I didn't fight back. I let the demon live in my soul and let him possess me. Oh. Keiichi didn't hide his tears. They were pouring down his cheeks. Maybe he's crying in my place since I'd become a demon and couldn't cry of my own will. Can I start now then? This method of torture is simple. I nail one of these into the first joint on your left pinky. Then I nail each one in order until I get to your thumb. Then I go back to your pinky and go to the joints in the middle. On and on until I hammer 15 nails into your left hand. And when it's over, your right hand's next. And after that, well, if you're still conscious, I'll tell you. There's a lot of nerves in your fingers, so it hurts more than you can imagine. Some people apparently pass out before you finish hammering 30 nails into their hands, so, we'll see. I put a nail to his left pinky. Once I hit it with a huge hammer, things would start. It would be over. I didn't hesitate when I was torturing the others, but somehow I do when it's you. If this will satisfy your demon, Mion. If it will save the demon, do it to me what you will. I didn't understand what he said, so I tried to repeat his words in my head. Are you serious? Compared to how much I hurt Mion, this is nothing, right? Do as much as you want. In exchange, promise me 2 things. After you're satisfied with causing me pain, forgive Shion. She's been punished enough to make up for her crime of sneaking into the storehouse, hasn't she? After all this, you still care about Shion more than yourself? I am Mion, Mion Sonozaki, so why are my eyes growing so damp when hearing Keiichi show concern for her? The other thing, when you've had your fill, you disappear. Give that body back to Mion. That's all. You know, are you not even considering the possibility of begging for your life or anything? Can I ask you to promise 3 instead of 2? The third is to leave me alive. You said 2 in the beginning, didn't you? You can't have any more. That's a shame. Even in the situation, Keiichi and I joked around and laughed. And then I knew why Shion fell in love with him. He's different from Satoshi, but he's a good guy. I probably won't keep those promises, understand? I'm a demon after all. Guess there's nothing that can be done then. Keiichi smiled and closed his eyes. Kei-chan, I'll agree to just third thing, okay? What? Your first wish, to save Shion. That's not possible. The demon will kill her. It's already been decided. I can't stop it. Give up on that. I stroked Keiichi's chin. As for your second wish, to give this body back to Mion. It won't happen either. After today, Mion will never come back. From today on, even if my body remains, it will just be a shell, because the demon has taken over. This is exactly the second ending, by the way. Verbatim. Or this is exactly the second arc's ending, verbatim. That's true. Mion, don't say something like that. Come back. Like she won't ever come back. Can you hear it? That sound? I've been hearing a noise. I knew what it had to be. Bang, bang, bang. A dull sound was repeating in regular rhythm. It was accompanied by a light tremor. People were trying to force open the iron door to the underground storehouse. You're late, so Reina probably called to me, she. Spaced out girl being so quick thinking was one thing I didn't anticipate. I'll agree with you there. Really? I wonder how much Kei-chan knows about Reina. Reina Ryugu. I won this time. Reina couldn't figure out who I was until the end. Or maybe she did. Reina didn't seem confused about whether I was Mion or Shion. Perhaps she could tell them apart through her sense of smell. She was good at that kind of thing. No way. Overestimating her. I brought out my stun gun so Keiichi could see the sparks. You've probably never seen one before, right? It's a real stun gun. It's illegally modified and its power's been increased quite a bit. Was that what you hit me with before? That's not a toy children should be playing with, you know? You're right. You're right. Bang. They must have broken the first door. The path was complicated, but there was no other door except for the one to this torture room. I won't kill you, but I'll have you go to sleep for a bit, Kei-chan. She'll be here soon. This'll only hurt a bit. He bit down and smiled bitterly. I paused, hesitating. He opened his eyes to see what was wrong. Sorry for disgracing me. I made a promise before coming here. Whatever happens, the Mion in my heart won't change. Forget about that. If you ever see me after today, don't come near me. By then, it will be the demon that inherited my corpse. Bzz. He fell unconscious. I locked the door to the torture room. I locked the door to the cave, too. That should give me some time. Shion, come out now. I opened the cell and told Shion to leave it. She was crying. He asked me to let Kei-chan go, so I did. He's out cold because of the stun gun. The police should be here soon, so they'll set him free. Thank you, thank you. You still have something more to do. Shion has to escape from here. I took Shion to the cell with the hidden passage. Before that, I'll give Mion back to you. Take those clothes off. We're switching again. Here, the rubber band for your hair. She had no idea what was going on, but she changed her clothes as I ordered her to. I gave her the flashlight and she hung it around her neck. You go first. Find the escape route at the bottom of the well. The light from the flashlight wasn't enough to illuminate the way down. Nobody in their right mind would want to descend the well, but Shion obeyed immediately and timidly climbed down the ladder. When she passed entirely below the rim of the well, I brought out my stun gun and put it to Shion's head. She understood the meaning of that. I didn't kill Kei-chan, just as you wanted. You told me I could kill you instead, didn't you? I'm going to keep our promise. Shion's hands and feet were clinging to a very unstable ladder. There was no way she could protect herself. She was in a critical situation. You, who looks like Mion, need to fall to the bottom of the well and die. I look like Shion. Kei-chan will testify I'm the victim. I'll wait in the cell for the police to get here. I'm sure they'll eventually find the truth from our fingerprints, but by the time they get that far, I'll be hiding somewhere else. Pretty good, huh? Damn, what's up, Diviner? Are you killing me out of revenge for Satoshi? If you know that much, you should have been prepared. Go apologize to Satoshi at the bottom of the well. Satoshi isn't at the bottom of the well. Huh? Didn't you say the bodies get dumped down here? All I said was if he was killed at the house, this is where his body would be. What are you telling me now? Can't you be a little clearer? I also like Satoshi. Yeah, I'm sure. I liked him after all. I was sad when he disappeared. I looked into things. And I interrogated Granny. I even thought about throttling her. And then she told me. She was only telling me as a successor. I had to keep it a secret. What she said was something hard to believe. The hag said to Shion, the Sonozaki family had nothing to do with the disappearance of Satoshi. Shion couldn't understand, so she asked again. The Sonozaki held a lot of influence in the underworld because of our dad's connections. In fact, they used such illegal measures during the dam conflict. Therefore, people assumed the Sonozakis pulled the strings when the dam construction incident took place. Even the hag laughed meaningfully and said suspicious things, so everyone believed she was the mastermind, but it was all a performance. It was a hoax by the family head. It was a bluff. They took credit for the incidents to make it look like they were pulling the strings. Oh boy. This is an interesting twist. Is Mion lying? Is Mion lying to save her own skin? Or is Mion telling the truth that they're not behind any of these murders and they're just claiming credit for it? Which might actually be stupider. With the influence they already had, this bluff was believable. Therefore, people thought the family was the one that had deep connections in the underworld and that they were capable of producing any sort of conspiracy. People believed that since the dam conflict, or you just smiled at things she had nothing to do with. As if she was pulling the strings. When the relatives saw that, they became fearful of her power. When the dam construction site manager was killed. Or you smiled meaningfully. When the relatives saw that, they assumed she was behind it. When the Hojo couple fell off the cliff. When the Furude died violently. When Satoshi's aunt died and Satoshi's kun disappeared. The hag just smiled meaningfully. Everyone believed the Sonozakis were behind these incidents. That's a lie. Are you trying to tell me the Sonozaki family had nothing to do with anything? How can I believe that? I don't think Granny would lie, especially about Satoshi's disappearance. She said she knew nothing about it. Granny approved of the relationship between Satoshi, do you remember? You ripped her nails off so she'd forgive everything. The lie, don't try to fool me. Who made him disappear then? Oh. I don't know. It wasn't the Sonozaki family. It wasn't Granny. You know the curse system, right? The hag didn't need to give the command for Satoshi to be attacked. All she had to do was look concerned, and someone would take care of it. That's the system. Shion couldn't say anything in response. Even if the hag had forgiven her personally, as long as he was the object of the curse, the executioner would follow him forever. Granny told me she tried to find out who was behind this curse for a long time. But she couldn't. Everyone believed it was someone in the village, but she couldn't find who it was. She couldn't find out? Then why did the curse take place every year? Isn't it weird? There wasn't anyone. There really wasn't. I told you earlier, Rika tried to attack me with a syringe, didn't I? How do you explain that? She wasn't just acting out of desperation like a cornered rat. She came over to my house and attacked me with a bottle of pepper spray and a syringe. I bet Toatake was killed, but the same stuff. I don't know. I can't believe Rika would do something like that. I'm the one who saw how she died, and I still can't believe it. What a completely abnormal way to go. I don't think Shion and the hag are lying. That would mean the hag wasn't in as much control as we thought she was, though. Didn't know anything about that scary drug, or if the Furude family was the one executing the curse. If the Sonozakis had nothing to do with it, then who made the series of deaths possible? Was it just a coincidence that something happened 5 years in a row on the night of Watanagashi? Impossible. A human must have made it happen. It was all decided somewhere the Sonozaki wasn't aware of. The Kimiyoshis didn't know anything. Kimiyoshi believed Sonozaki was behind it. Was it the Furudes? With Rika's behavior and the elderly people who believed in her blindly, did some kind of power exist around them that created the curse? No way. Furude couple themselves were victims of it. How could a little girl like Rika possess power stronger than that of the Sonozakis? I mean, why'd she go by herself if she had that power? That seems unusual. Just send like 6 people with you. She has like an entire crew, right? Still, I guess Mion might be telling the truth here. I think we could operate like Mion's telling the truth and they don't know who it is. They're just someone with the drugs. We don't know who that is, but it's not Mion and her crew. It's just impossible. In other words, I killed the leader of the heads of all 3 families and was trying to bring an end to the whole thing. All as a result of the misunderstanding about the dark secret of Hinamizawa. And what about my revenge? Did I kill the wrong people? People who had nothing to do with Satoshi's disappearance at all? That's good, Shion. Trying to turn the tables on me, huh? Please believe me, I'm not your enemy. I really am not. Please believe me. Shion begged with tears in her eyes. That would have affected me if I was still Shion's sister, but I don't feel anything anymore because I'm a demon. I'll be done once I kill Shion. I've already decided that. If I don't finish it up, then what would my existence be for? What about the life I devoted to revenge for Satoshi? How dare she tell me all this nonsense to confuse me at the very end? If what she said was the truth, then what I'd done wasn't revenge. It was just the curse of the 5th year. Shion, if you're truly innocent, you can go to heaven. Apologize, Satoshi, for me. Sit. A bluish-white spark lit the darkness, and Shion disappeared into the well. Please apologize to Satoshi in heaven. I can't, since I won't be going there. Instead, I'm going deep into hell. Jumping into this well would be too simple an atonement for what I've done. Until I find a perfect way to end my life, I'm going to live as best I can. Interesting. That is not what I expected to have happen. Although I thought it was very possible. I mean, you gotta consider... Oh my god, it's still going after this? Well, yeah. Okay, so this is probably the conclusion chapter. We need to think, though. So what happens is... What I'm guessing happens is now we follow the second part. The second arc's conclusion. Continue following it with a little variation. So basically... Like, we've clearly seen that Shion has some, like, mental problems, and she's probably not going to get help that much, so she's probably going to end up, like, doing her thing where she dies in her apartment. She dies in the apartment she's borrowing. Screaming about Mion. This probably isn't going to help her mental stability when she's pretending to be someone else, or she's pretending to be herself, but she's also pretending that she didn't do any of the killing. That it was someone else or some shit. Like, it's probably not going to help. The paranoia. She seems to be able to impersonate Mion unnaturally, so maybe she's got, like, split personality. Who knows? So she probably... The mental instability, though, seems to be, like, pretty consistent with Shion living, so that kind of makes sense. I feel like we could have made that assumption once we realized that it was Shion who was the crazy one and was super unstable. It would have made more sense. Would have made more sense, but I guess we can wait. We waited until we saw that it was actually Mion going down the well. Mion, not Shion. When Shion's the not Mion is the one that did all the killing. All right, notebook 199. Shion's last confession is dubious. Did the hag convince her that the Sonozaki had nothing to do with it? Or is this truth? In my own investigations, I've proven there are aspects of the curse that can't be explained by the Sonozaki family alone. My notes were all bogus from the beginning. These 200 pages are full of BS. I thought of burning this notebook, but I won't do it. This notebook proves my guilt. I won't distort the facts. I won't burn it. After all, my life is only a notebook long. I wonder if anyone will read this. If somebody does, please let them learn something from my stupidity. The series of mysterious deaths in Hinamizawa, dubbed Oyashiro-sama's curse. If you're reading this, find the truth. That's My only wish. June 1983, Mion Sonozaki. Damn, alright. Whew, that was really good, but that was also really long. I want to do the next chapter, but we're gonna have to wrap up our Higurashi for the night.